Good evening and welcome to Toonami TV Live. So this evening we're going to do a special free-for-all chat where we're going to discuss Steve Bruce and his Newcastle United future. I wouldn't usually do live streams like this, but because of what's going on in the background and absolute uproar on social media last night after losing 1-0 to Sheffield United, I've had me rant about Steve Bruce, but now it's over to you guys, the fans, to have your say on all things Steve Bruce. There will be a link in the chat, as you can see, if you want to join me tonight and have a little bit of a discussion on Newcastle United's recent performances, Steve Bruce's tactics, and should Steve Bruce stay or should he go? There has been further information from Sky Sports this evening and Keith Downey that Steve Bruce has the backing of Mike Ashley, which I totally don't understand. And I'm going to read it out for you. I do have the laptop to my left-hand side, and I'm going to read what Keith Downey has had to say this evening regarding Steve Bruce's future as Newcastle United manager. So this was out around half an hour ago on his Twitter. Go and check him out. Go and give him a follow and retweet. Steve Bruce retains the support of the Newcastle United owner Mike Ashley, despite fans calling for him to be sacked following defeat to bottom of the table Sheffield United. However, Ashley's patience would be expected to run thin if Newcastle were dragged into a dogfight for Premier League survival. Now, what I can take from that tweet is expected. Now, expected to run thin. If I am Mike Ashley and you're trying to get a takeover to go through in the coming months, or if not by the end of the season, our Premier League status is key. In all of this, we need to, replace Steve Bruce and bring in a manager who is, going to have a different style of football. It's a different voice. That's what we need in the dressing room. I said it last night. There's no doubt we've got good players, but Steve Bruce cannot get the best out of this squad. And you're looking at the squad that we've got here. They're not used to five at the back, and it's just so negative. But then for Mike Ashley to say, well, we're 8 points clear of Fulham and that everything's okay. It's not okay, because you wonder where our next win is coming from. We haven't won in 8 games, and that's in all competitions. And you're looking at the next 3 fixtures, Arsenal, Leeds, then Everton. I cannot see us winning any of those 3 games. I really cannot with Steve Bruce as our manager. And the longer Steve Bruce stays, the quicker we are going to sink into that bottom 3 and be relegated come the end of the season. I can smell Steve McLaren 2.0 with this. And we've got 21 games now to save our season, to, right the wrongs of what's happened this month and last month and the dodgy run that we've been on, the bad run, if you like to call it, with a new voice. That's what we need. And for then Keith Downey to come out and say that from what he's heard from Mike Ashley's team, that they're going to back him. How can you back Steve Bruce any longer? You can't. The guy is tactically inept. He's finished as far as I'm concerned. He just comes out with excuse after excuse after excuse. And you've got his mates like Simon Jordan coming out and defending him. How can you defend Steve Bruce with these dodgy, pathetic performances? I mean, he's lost the dressing room as far as I'm concerned. He's lost it. But anyway, it's not about me tonight. It's about you guys, the fans. And just before I get them in, I just want to say a few things. Thank you very much for subscribing. It's been quite good, actually. The channel's grown. We've reached 3,500 subscribers. So honestly, I thank you all a million. Keep subscribing to the channel. Keep hitting the like button as well. Keep sharing the content out with your friends and your family. And follow me on social media, Toonami TV, Instagram and Twitter. I'll quickly read a few comments out and then we'll get straight in with it. So I want to welcome you all into the stream this evening. And like I say, we'll just crack on with it. So let's have a look where we're going to start. We've got so many comments tonight. So Arsenal Alex has said, good evening, mate. I hope you're doing well. Sack Steve Bruce and get someone like Eddie Howe or Nigel Pearson in who will steady the ship. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Lewis says, hello. As if Cashley has been backed him after last night's game, no hope. Yeah, I totally agree, mate. You shouldn't be backing Steve Bruce after a 1-0 defeat to Sheffield United. And by the way, you don't be going 5 at the back against a side that's not won all season. That's just ludicrous. David Tron, Steve Bruce out now. Yes, totally agree. Crazy Ginger Jake Holden said, yeah, I want Howe in. There's a lot of Howe fans in here. Chris, NUFC, hi mate, Bruce out now. It's a joke now. ASM will go, I'm sorry to say. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. Cabbage Head out. Monday could be it for him. To be honest with you, mate, I wouldn't give many more games. I think we'll lose against Arsenal. I believe we'll definitely lose against Leeds if you look back at the game at Elland Road. And I think Everton, listen, we played their second string. I don't think we're going to be Everton at all at Goodison Park. You wonder where our next win's coming from on current form. Congratulations on 3.5 subs. Yeah, thank you very much, mate. Like I say, keep subscribing, keep helping us grow the channel. I will be back on Friday as well for a Friday Night Live, so make sure you join me then for a couple of hours of chat. This is just a one-off because of Steve Bruce and the whole, morale's down at the minute. We have a chance against you again on Monday. You'll beat with me. There's no question about it. I can't see us getting another point again under Bruce. David Troner says we need to beat Leeds at home, but if Bruce still is in charge, I can't see it. I don't think we'll beat Leeds, unfortunately. We got totally capitulated 2-3 weeks ago, whenever we last played them. I see us beating Everton, but that's it. I don't even see we're beating anyone at this moment in time, mate. If I'm being brutally honest with you, I don't see we're beating anyone. Let's have a look. Get out now, Steve Bruce. Yes. Eddie Howe in. Bruce is a muppet. Yes. Let's have a look. Now is the time to get Bruce out. When we start McLaren, it's too late. This is the perfect time. Jack says Eddie Howe wouldn't manage us. Be lucky to get John Carver right now. Yeah, there's been talk of Nigel Pearson, who I would actually take on a short-term basis. Anyone just for a fresh voice, someone who's going to come in and not take any shit. Steve Bruce just seems to have lost the whole dressing room, and that's the way I see it. You sound like me and my Arteta out videos. Listen, we've been saying things like this for the past 13 years. Mike Ashley is no longer welcome at this club. Eddie Howe in as soon as possible. I've just seen that. Hi, Sharky. I knew we would lose. I knew it. I predicted it. Yeah, I think you can just predict Newcastle's results, if I'm being brutally honest. Does Ashley have a hole in his brain or what? Yeah, I don't understand why Mike Ashley's backing him, if I'm being brutally honest. Eddie Howe in. Bruce Manager of the Month. Yeah, for the worst manager in the league. Yes, I wouldn't agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. Dale Wake says, Brucey totally bottled it. Shocking. Yes. Even to Paul from the Toon Review, make sure that you give him subscription as well. He's a very good YouTuber, speaks the truth about the club, and probably knows more about the club than I do. So please go and head over to his channel and, like I say, helping to get to that 600 subscriber mark. I think he's just hit over 500. So well done, mate. If you're watching, I will get you in very soon. The fans deserve a lot more. Yes, I totally agree with that. Why did he go 5 at the back versus Sheffield United to score? That we can't score to save their lives. Yeah, well, this is Steve Bruce in a nutshell, isn't it? Against these sort of sides, he went 5 at the back against Sheffield United to play them on the counter-attack and try and score a goal. Listen, that's not the right way to go about games. I've always said go 4-4-2, go 4-2-3-1, give yourself the best chance of winning the game. I have done a lot of research actually tonight on these articles of Steve Bruce, so I will be getting some guests in. Jason said, Steve Bruce, 67 games in charge of NUFC, a 31.3% win ratio. Sky Sports have now clocked on and talking about how his work in progress hasn't been progress at all. I've seen bugger all progress under Steve Bruce, if I'm being brutally honest. It's just the same old rinse and repeat excuses. Jody says, Newcastle, Steve McLaren 2.0. Yes, I totally agree. Leeds will beat us 2-0. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Nigel Pearson is the best man for the job. I totally agree with that. I think Eddie Howe may be coming next season. Where is our next wing going to be, so you reckon? I don't know, mate. I really don't know. I'm looking at the next 3 fixtures. Arsenal, I think, will get beat. I think we'll get beat off Leeds as well. They're a very good side this season, and I think we'll lose to Everton as well. And that's not being negative. You just look on the current performances. Listen, we can't even string 2 passes together. Never mind win a game. It's so bad. Jason said, if Ashley wants the price for the club, he's got to get rid of Bruce. Things are getting more and more toxic, and banners are appearing now at the St James's Park and the training ground. I've seen that, and I'm all for it. Kenny Wilshire says, wasn't Alan Hudson's son linked with the job last time round? Honestly, Willy Wonka could do the job at this moment in time. He couldn't do any worse. Bruce has no brain cells. Totally agree with that. Let's have a look. The comments are flying in the night. Bloody hell. If Newcastle want points and they have to go forward more, I feel bad for Wilson because he gets no service. We may as well not have a front three. Bruce out. I don't care who takes over. Yeah, I totally agree with you, mate. I think Wilson, he must wonder why he signed for this football club. When you think he could have went Aston Villa where they're having a good season, why did he sign under Steve Bruce to play 5 at the back? Do you know what I mean? Surely he should have seen that last season. But Callum Wilson's were already hooked. Without his goals and without Darlow making the saves, we're in the bottom 3. It's simple as that. Thomas321 says, it is me or most managers free agents. Bruce is so lucky fans can't go to games. Matthew Smith says, Steve Bruce was looking for a doner kebab with extra chili sauce. And yeah, I totally agree with that, mate. JC said Mike Ashley has to sell him. Let's have a look. Thoughts on Binks NUFC. Yeah, good YouTuber. I like him. He speaks sense. I've been a big follower of his for the last 3.5 years, I believe. So, yeah. Even I love the tune review. Thanks, buddy. Can't believe Mike Ashley has backed Steve Bruce. The whole thing is a farce. Yeah, mate, I believe at this moment in time, we all going down. As far as things stand, we're getting relegated. I'm nearly there with the comments. I know there's people in the background, but I will get there. Just bear with us. Hi, Liam, NUFC. Eddie, or bring Rafa back and take over. Happy days. And how's you, James? I'm absolutely fine, mate. I hope you're doing well. He has to go. He's ruined the club. Yes, he has. I can't stand Steve Bruce personally. We always pass backwards. Geordie, we need to give a character like Pearson to give some stability for the sort of... yeah, I totally agree with that. Right. Do you know what? We've got loads of comments coming in, but I'm going to bring in some guests. We've got a few coming in, to be fair. We've got Carl. We'll get him in first. Carl, how's it going, mate?
I've been better, mate. How about yourself?
A bit better. No, it's just getting worse, man. Honestly, have you just seen Sky Sports? Have you seen Keith Downey's tweet?
Yeah, I saw it about 15, 20 minutes ago, and I've just literally said to the lads in the group, let's prepare for the championship.
Honestly, mate, I think we're going down. It's as simple as that. And do you know what it is, right? I got laughed at on my YouTube, on social media for predicting Newcastle to finish 16th. I get it, and I was watching your videos last night. We've made some good recruitment of players, but if anything, he's made them worse. Do you know what I mean? How can you bring in the likes of Callum Wilson, Ryan Fraser being the next best winger, and you're bringing in, I mean, to be honest, there was some dross in there as well with Jeff Hendrick and that. But, I mean, if anything, the players just don't want to play for him. And I don't believe for 1 second that he's got the dressing room. He's completely lost that.
Definitely not, mate. It's interesting that a lot of people around football have said that he's a really good man manager, and you could probably see that. But, like you've just said there, all of the players have clearly had enough of that and had enough of how we're playing. And who wants to be involved in a club like that? Callum Wilson must be thinking, why have I not gone and signed for Aston Villa? Which hurts me. Really hurts me being from that area. But I can, Maximan, I'm sure whatever's happened has happened, but there's clearly an underlying issue as to why he's not been back earlier as well. And I don't believe that it's down to injury and coronavirus completely. I think, like you've said, he's lost the dressing room. And what are we supposed to do as fans now? It's just ridiculous. I think we just got to prepare for the championship if it carries on. If they're seriously going to back Steve Bruce, what hope have we got?
Well, I'm just reading the last bit from Keith Downey, and he said, however, Ashley's patience would be expected to run thin if Newcastle were dragged into a dogfight for Premier League survival. Well, I'm sorry to say it, but if he's not looking at the table, we are in a Premier League dogfight, and I don't want to sound like I'm being over the top because it's 8 points, but 8 points is not enough in this league. And if you think of Fulham, I know they've got a game tonight, but they've got 2 games in hand. Even if they don't beat Spurs, they're going to get points from somewhere. And if our gap goes from being 8 to 5 to 2 or even to 1 at this point, I think even at 5, they've got to do something. I mean, they've got to do something now, as far as I'm concerned, in order to save this season. Yes, we're not going to win a trophy, that's granted, but in order to bring some sort of pride back to the club, we've got 21 games left. That's what, 63 points to play for.
Yeah,
that's a lot of points. Do you know what I mean? For Newcastle, I'm not saying for one we're going to pick up 63 points, but there's enough points there to order to climb the table. And Steve Bruce, I mean, I was just so annoyed at the whole selection that he went with yesterday for Sheffield United. I mean, it was all wrong from the very get-go. I mean, I've said it all too often. I'm more of a 4-4-2 guy or 4-4-2-3-1. What was your take on the whole lineup? I mean, you've got to have gone mad with that, surely.
Absolutely. So the night before, myself and Johnny did our kind of prediction video, and
I watched it.
Yeah, I thought, I was like you said, we've got to be going with a 4-4-2 here, surely. Regardless of how tactically inept we think he is, he's got to look at this and think they've got 2 points, scored 8 goals. They've got shipped the second most amount of goals. I think they'd conceded 29 goals or something like that. We have to have a go at them regardless. And then when I saw that it was 5 at the back, because Johnny said himself, he wouldn't be surprised. I just thought... We're buggered, mate. We're buggered. I don't want to swear. Yeah, we're absolutely buggered.
Mate, you can say what you want on this channel. Do what you want.
But yeah, I just thought, we're absolutely fucked. We're fucked at the end of the day. Callum Wilson up top on his own. We've got someone who's crying out to get goals and who's got more than enough talent to get goals for him. But let's isolate him up front, 50 yards away from where he needs to be, and sit. Well, it wasn't even 5. It ended up almost 9 men behind the ball with 4 centre midfielders, Fraser aside, not knowing where they were playing in the middle, and it was an absolute shambles, mate. Absolute shambles. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it.
I think 99.9% of the fan base were taken back by the five at the back. I mean, this is Sheffield United, by the way. I mean, they haven't won a game all season, 2 points to their name. I think it's the worst run in Premier League history, and I believe it's the worst start in any of the 5 top divisions in Europe.
Yeah.
A club that's not won a game, and trust it to be Newcastle that we turned up down to Bramall Lane last night. We give them their first 3 points of the season, and by the way, I think 1-0 actually flatters us because it should have been more.
No, you're spot on, mate. Spot on. That I know a lot of people argue with the decision on the penalty and things, but at the end of the day, I agree with you. It could have been 3 or 4 easily before that. I think we had 29% of possession at the time. Then Fraser sent off, and it's gone down to 12. But 29% of possession against bottom of the league, who were arguably it was a championship side against a championship last night, and we lost again.
Do you know what it is, though? When I look at the possession stats, it pretty much goes to Sheffield United. I mean, that was obvious from the get-go. Newcastle, for me, should be dominating that game. I know it's at Bramall Lane, but if you look at Newcastle, got 19 points. I think it's probably a false position. Would you say 15th? I don't think we deserve to be there. I think we should definitely be lower down. We've had a lot of luck this season. I think there's only 2 games where I think we've actually deserved to win, and I think it's West Ham and Burnley. That's it, really, and that's quite sad. Liverpool could have went either way. But, yeah, touching on the Sheffield United game last night, I mean, there was just nothing there, was there? I mean, I think the whole selection was wrong. I think Hendrick should never have started. It's backwards, sidewards, whatever. It's the same with Sean Longstaff. I think Matty should have started as well. Ryan Fraser, I mean, how is he even starting games, especially when he's just come back from an injury? And I think the 2 tackles were just stupid.
Yeah, definitely. And Adam said it himself from the start that he was furious that Fraser was starting because he's not fit. He hadn't played in 6 or 7 games, but especially the second one. The second one was a tired challenge, and I looked at it. I thought you're absolutely right, and he shouldn't have started. I could have almost forgiven the 5 at the back if the personnel was different, but the whole thing was a shambles, an absolute shambles, like you said. And Sheffield United were tenfold the team they were last season, and we went and had a go at them. So why have we not done that? Why have we not done that when they're in a worse position than they were last year? It makes no sense. And we got 2 wins against them last season. Now we just rolled over.
Yeah, I said it in my preview. With this, for me, is the biggest game of Steve Bruce's managerial career. It's the biggest in Newcastle's season. In order to try and turn things around, take a bit of pressure off Steve Bruce, at least for a couple of days, if we'll get a win at Sheffield United. But it's just the same old story, isn't it? We're just taking up the arse, and that's what Sheffield United did. And like I say, I was trying to stay positive. I wasn't happy with the lineup, don't get me wrong, but you've got to try and get behind the line as much as possible. But the first sort of 5 minutes just told me that we just didn't look interested. Just second to pretty much everything, tackles. And Sheffield United, you know what? They actually wanted it more, and I totally agree with Johnny, actually. I think you mentioned it in your player ratings. Wilder was just rolling the dice. He was going for it. He was putting on attacking players like Billy Sharp and Ryan Brewster, and you're thinking, like, look at the players that we've got on our bench. Like, why are you not making those positive changes? Do you know what I mean? I think that they should have started personally. But I want to talk about the penalty now. Yes, it was a 50-50 call, but for me, we should never put ourselves in that position, to go 1-0 down. This is the sort of game that we should have dominated.
Absolutely. And, there's a lot of people in the comments I've seen that don't agree with it being a penalty, and I can absolutely understand why, but you've hit the nail on the head. We shouldn't be putting ourselves in that position at the end of the day. Kieran Clark, I thought, was excellent yesterday, but again, I don't think many of the defenders put a foot wrong, but Kieran Clark was trying to drag everyone to that level, and there was constantly too much space between Yedlin and Dummett at times as well in terms of Sheffield United's wingers. And I said it last night, when you've got Yedlin's pace, use it to your advantage. Don't put yourself in a position where you're going to have to be chasing the ball for 75, 80 minutes when you're on the pitch. And it was just shocking, mate. Absolutely shocking. I'm lost for words now. I don't even know what to say anymore.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, mate. I think it's just the whole game yesterday was just a shit show from the get-go, right to the very end, until he made out his excuses, in the media. Oh, the penalty changed the game. No, it didn't. The game for me was already lost. It was lost before we started. Definitely. And it was just a case of he's just trying to make himself look good in front of the media. And for me, there was just nothing there. And it looked like a squad that were just tired of just the same old, predictability, the same old predictable 11. Players are not even playing their merit these days. They're just getting put in due to, if they're saying COVID or the injuries and whatnot. But I mean, there was just, I don't think anything's going to improve. This is the thing. And what really baffles me and annoys me tonight is that Mike Ashley, the biggest decision as Newcastle owner with his takeover, as I say in the background, if it's going to go ahead, if that's going to happen, he's got to make a decision now with 21 games to go in order to move Newcastle forward. Because if we go down, there's no way that Newcastle are going to be valued at over 300 million. No chance.
Definitely not. And it's come out that arbitration is going ahead at the moment, and it looks like whatever's going to happen is going to be settled out of court. But I agree, and I've said this so many times. You've got people that have really pushed this takeover and believe that it's still going, and that's fine. And I don't berate anyone for having that opinion. Even if it's not from PIF, if there's someone behind the scenes that's getting involved, that's fine. But Mike Ashley's actions speak louder than words at the end of the day. If he's not making a decision, we can categorically guarantee that the takeover isn't happening. If Steve Bruce is still at the club, it's not happening. It's as simple as that, because you've got to protect your asset. If there's any seriousness or any actual potential of someone buying this club right now, Steve Bruce will be out the door within weeks. If not, we know we're stuck with Ashley for the foreseeable.
I don't want to sound negative, but I think the longer we keep Steve Bruce, I think the quicker we're going down. We might look at a bit of a healthy position with 8 points, but it's not when you look at it, when you think of the games coming up. So anyway, Sheffield United's gone. Nothing we can do about it. More points dropped. So the next three, we've got Arsenal coming up, and for me, I've said that's gone. We're not winning that. And then we've got Leeds at home. I don't even think we're going to beat Leeds. If you look back at the 5-2, the way we just capitulated, they're going to do exactly the same thing. And then you look at Everton, and we beat their second string, and that's the way I look at it. We beat their second string at home. I can't see we're beating them at Goodison Park. So you tell me in those next three games where the points coming from.
They're not, and if they do, it'll be from a complete stroke of luck. It's like the Man City, Liverpool, and I can't remember which game it was. There was another game as well. Might have been the Fulham game or West Brom game. And we talked about where we were going to get points from, and everyone was like, we're not going to get any points. I'm like, we will get a point, and it will be against Man City or Liverpool, and it will be nothing down to Steve Bruce. It won't be how the lads play. It will just be a stroke of luck. And I was wrong in that sense, because, we did well to stifle Liverpool, but they had arguably a second string for the majority of their side out, other than the front three as well. But I really don't see us getting any points from those games, mate. The Leeds game I'm really worried about again, because they've already done a number on us when we were doing okay. But yeah, like if they're anywhere near what they are, and we're anywhere near what we were like last night, they could put 7 past us.
Honestly, I fear for us. If anything, if Steve Bruce, we know he's going to keep his job, and I believe that he'll be gone by the end of this month. He has to be. He has to be gone, because in 3 games, right, a lot can change with Fulham and Brighton and Burnley at the bottom. Even West Brom, if you like. I'm not saying West Brom are going to pick up any points, but Fulham, for me, are the one who I think could be all right come the end of the season, because they're playing well under Parker. And I look at Fulham. I think that there's a bit of togetherness there. Newcastle just don't seem to have that, and we could get dragged into that 18th place spot. Now, it's the next 3 games that Mike Ashley must be looking at in order for that tweet to come out. He must be thinking, well, if we can get something in these next 3 games, then we've got a chance, because we've got that 8-point gap. But that's not, as mentioned, it's not a guarantee. And if we're going to make a change, it has to happen sooner rather than later. I would rather it happen now.
Yeah.
But if we're going to make the change, it has to happen by the end of this month, because after that, we've only got, 18 games left, something like that. The games are running out. Do you know what I mean? And if we go 11 games without a win, what we're on at the minute, that's a sackable offence, in my opinion. But if it's 11 games, surely his job's untenable.
I would absolutely agree, and I can't see any other I can't fathom, even if there was no takeover. I don't want to keep talking about that. Even if there was none of that, why would you not get rid of someone with that poor run of form? It wouldn't make any sense, other than the lack of money that they have to pay to him, maybe, because we all know he's not getting paid a massive wedge. And Mike Ashley's always about steadying the ship in terms of financials, but surely he's got to understand that us being relegated is going to hurt him financially either way. And I do agree with you. I think he's probably got up till the end of January. I think anywhere after that is too late for me. Really is. We're quickly getting into that Steve McLaren position. Well,
that's what I'm saying. I think it smells of Steve McLaren 2.0. For you, if that's what the owner said, in order for Keith Downey to tweet that, if that's what he's thinking right now, then I think he's missing a brain cell in there, because any decent owner now would just panic and say, right, okay, we're going to make the change, but we're going to bring someone in who is going to get the best out of these players. And as I've mentioned before, I don't believe that they're a bad bunch of players. They can't turn bad overnight. No, I just think they've been badly mismanaged.
Absolutely. Maximin was setting the world alight after he kind of got his foot on the ground last year, and then he's He's always happy. He's been bubbly all over social media. He's been interacting with fans left, right, and centre, talking positively about the city, about the people, everything. That's gone, and that comes from the football and the crap that he's realised that he's got himself into, and absolutely understandable. Sean Longstaff, yes, he's had a terrible season, but I don't believe that he's as bad as we've all been getting on his back. Like, I get it, and I get why we are getting on his back, but I don't believe he's that bad at all. He's been hindered. There's times where he's played. And even if he's turned around to Steve Bruce and said, I want to be playing in these games, be that senior authority, be the manager and tell him no, that he shouldn't be playing. Like, I appreciate if there's passion from the players, if they want to be playing every game, but you've got to get a grip of the dressing room. And I just don't think he has. I think he's, from what I've heard, how he is around players, is a very personable bloke, and he's a man manager, and he gets on with the players, but that only goes so far. And I think they're probably starting to walk all over him. They've lost all respect for him, and it just begs belief for me. What are they doing in training? Not everyone can regress. Like, there can be a few out of the bunch where you can think, okay, yes, they're not as good as what we thought they were. That they're not the players that we expected them to be, and they're just not cut out for this level. But you can't say that across the whole squad of 23, surely.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think once you lose one player, then it starts becoming 2, then 3, then 4 and 5. If you lose everyone, I think that's it. I just think because he's Mike Ashley's yes man, that's the reason why he's got the job. He's the cheap option. There's no doubt about it, because if he was an expensive type of manager on this current form, he wouldn't be in a job right now. And this whole thing, I'm a Geordie and whatnot. I mean, if you're a Geordie, for example, you do not be playing 5 at the back against Sheffield United, your biggest game of the season. Do you know what I mean? And I went on a right rant last night, and that's the worst I've ever felt. And people can look back at it. I'm not being over the top. I'm just stating some facts. But tonight was like more about the fans, getting people like yourself on. And before you go, Carl, talking about the transfers as well. I mean, do you think anyone's going to come in this window? I think it'll be quite quiet.
Yeah, I think it will be very quiet. If anyone's going to come in, it's going to be loans. I don't know if they're still talking about Brandon Williams. I'm not sure about that. It will be something of that sort of ilk. I don't think the Jetro thing is going to happen. I really don't, and I wouldn't be surprised if they genuinely brought in Phil Jones, and I'd be fuming about that. Absolutely fuming. I don't think they'll address the issues that we need in terms of getting a centre midfielder and probably another attacking player. And I think they'll end up getting maybe a centre back and potentially get Brandon Williams in. If not, then nothing. Nothing. I don't expect anything.
Yeah, it's going to be a long, frustrating January, because we know that we've got to make some changes, in the side, and we know that there's plenty of deadwood there that needs to go. We've seen Aaron's go to Huddersfield, but there's plenty more that are just sitting there not getting games. And even some of the first teamers, I look at them and I think they need a loan or something. They're just not quite cut out for the level of football. But half of them, could probably do with a loan to get away from Steve Bruce and all the negativity. You know what I mean? But I think it's going to be a real frustration one. But we're just got to hope that the squad that we've got's capable enough of staying up. But I'm just hoping it's not with Steve Bruce. But Carl, before you go, where can people find you?
You can find me over on Twitter. That's at Carl Newcastle. And then I'm over on Newcastle Fans TV. But yeah, really appreciate all the stuff you do, mate. I watch all of your stuff, so you're doing really well as well. So it's good to start. I'm trying to interact with everyone rather than just think that we're Newcastle Fans TV. I want us all to come together as channels, me personally.
Absolutely. So, yeah. Well, I was just about to say, Carl, I've started a lot of live streams now. I'm doing. This is a bit of a special one because of Steve Bruce. I want the fans to get on tonight, just to have your say on, what the goings on at Newcastle and Steve Bruce in and out, whatever. But you can plug Newcastle Fans TV if you want. I mean, obviously, I was part of the channel for a while, but you can tell everyone what you do on Newcastle Fans TV, and maybe they can go over and subscribe.
Yeah, we do. I kind of head up the live watch along now, which is difficult, and I understand your reasonings for not wanting to do them. I absolutely understand it.
Do you know what? After yesterday, you can totally understand.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. It's really frustrating, but it just helps having, because I know that there's a lot of people in here that are recognised from our channel as well. The whole community helps, it really does. And the one positive I took from yesterday is it's hard, but everyone was coming together, and that's the positives I take out of it. So we've got the watch alongs, player ratings, that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's a good community. But as I said, I follow a lot of your stuff, mate. So I think we're kind of a similar ilk.
Yeah, like I say, go and head over to Newcastle Fans TV. They do some brilliant content, more than what I do anyway. Great variety. Go and check them out. Different presenters all the time, and always working hard around the clock. to put out some good content for you guys to go and check out. So yeah, and you've got Newcastle Fans TV Extra as well, which is another channel that fans can go and check out as well.
Yeah, so Johnny, Lee, and Sam do a lot of stuff on there. So Johnny and Sam have got their Greenwood and Mulliner podcast, so they get ex-players, loads of different people, lots of sports people that are involved in Newcastle, support Newcastle. So yeah, they're really, really good to have a look at. You don't really have to be a Newcastle fan to watch that sort of content, to be fair. And then Lee does a lot of stuff with the under-23s and the Newcastle women's side as well. Yeah, I was doing a show over there, but it took a little bit of a back burner at the moment, but we'll probably get back to that at some point as well. But yeah, appreciate you for letting me do that, mate.
No problem. Like I say, Col, you're welcome on the channel anytime. I will link Newcastle Fans TV in the description box at the end of this stream so people can go and check these out. But nevertheless, thank you very much, Col, for coming on. And like I say, you are welcome on anytime.
Appreciate it, mate. Take care and keep up the good
work, safe.
Mate. And you.
Thank you, mate. See you later,
Bye-bye.
mate. Bye-bye. So that was Col from Newcastle Fans TV. Always welcome on. If there's any Newcastle Fans TV team that want to come on, you're more than welcome. And we're going to have a look in the guests now. I think we've got more people. Let's have a look. We've got somebody who wants to come in, but we'll have a look. If there's any Newcastle fans that want to come in tonight as well in chat, I will put the link in right now. So if you just bear with me a second, I'll just paste that in. I'll read some of the comments. So that's that. Right, okay. So let's put some more comments on the screen. There's loads coming in tonight. So Just Boy 15 says, we always pass backwards. I totally agree with that. We need a character like Pearson to give us some stability. Yeah, I think I've gone past that bit. Hi, Liam. Bruce is a joke. I'm sick of this now. Wilson and the SM will be gone when we go down. Wilson went Newcastle because they offered him the most money. Jody says, doesn't matter who is the main striker, whether Wilson or Joe Linton, they are also isolated. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Chris says, taxi for Steve Bruce. We do have a guest. If there's anyone who does like to come in, who's a Newcastle fan, it'd be great. We've got Brian. How are you doing, Brian?
Hello, Shog. It's been a while, mate. You all right?
Yeah, yes. Happy New Year, man. It doesn't seem like it's getting any better, is it?
Nah. He not only has he lost the dressing room, he's lost the city. To me, his back staff, you know, he's what they called it is his back staff.
Backstabbers.
The back team.
The backroom staff. The Steve Agnew and that.
I mean, even they haven't got a clue. I mean, there's somebody not giving this guy a nudge and saying, come on, Steve, every single week. It's not working. Every week, he's making the same mistakes over and over again. It's like the throw-in situation. He hasn't sorted that out. What's he doing on the training pitch? Right, guy, we can't take it through. And I tell you what, how many times have they took it through in on the edge of the box and it's ended up back with the keeper? Get it in the box. It's not rocket science. Get the ball, throw it in the box. It's not pretty to watch, but it's better than passing it back to the fullback and it ended up back at Cardolo. Ridiculous. And no, he should be getting them in on the training pitch and saying, right, guys, don't do that anymore. Get the ball in the box on a throw-in. Even if you're anywhere past the halfway line, get it down the line. That's what you do with the throw-in. You get it down the line. You might get it over a corner. You might kick it off the defender's legs. No, they're passing it back to the full-back and it's in back with the keeper. Teams playing against Newcastle must love it. They must love it. It's guaranteed 3 points because you're going to have about 80, 70%, 80% of the possession. So the manager's going to give them a little pep talk and say, right, guys, we're playing Newcastle. You're going to have about 70, 80% of the possession. Just a matter of time before you score. And as soon as you get the first goal, that's when Newcastle will come out and play. Easy.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think if you look back at the Sheffield United game yesterday, that was you could say it, you know what I mean, playing five at the back. Who plays five at the back, Brian, against a club who is bottom of the league, winless all season, the worst side, in Premier League history with a start. They haven't won a game in terms of the top five, divisions around Europe, and trust Newcastle to go down to be that first club to hand them that 3 points, not make them work for it. We've literally handed the 3 points on a plate to Sheffield United.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of the sending off, I mean, I think they were on top of that game for the whole of the first half anyway. You could see how it was going to go. The way I'm not going to talk about last season. I mean, he did all right. yeah, we're very lucky in a lot of games last season. He did okay, so we're giving the benefit of the doubt this season, and it's proved to be a flash in the pan last season. You could see the way the game went yesterday. We're going to defend with the 11 men for 90 minutes, regardless of the sending off. Predictable.
Brian, you're cutting out ever so slightly. I don't know if you want to come back and maybe a bit later. That's all right. But it's good to have good. It's good to get your point across to the channel. But maybe if it's a bit quiet, I can bring you on later on, just so you cut out a little bit.
I'll get a better headset. I'm on Bluetooth earbuds at the minute, so I'll plug my headset in and I'll come back in. But maybe it's a good idea anyway, because I'm absolutely furious. Go on then, right?
No problem, mate. Right, Peter.
Right,
how you doing, mate?
Oh,
This one.
still
Uh,
furious after that yesterday, man.
Well, like I say, I don't know what more I can say about it. I've just had to cut Brian out because he was cut out a bit. But yeah, Steve Bruce, I mean, I don't know if you've read the tweet from Keith Downey tonight. I'll just obviously quickly read it to anyone who's in the stream tonight. It basically says along the lines of Steve Bruce retains the support of Newcastle owner Mike Ashley, despite fans calling for him to be sacked following the defeat to bottom of the table Sheffield United. However, Matt Ashley's patience would be expected to run thin if Newcastle were dragged into a dogfight for Premier League survival. So, Peter, what's your thoughts on that? I mean, you were obviously furious with the result. I mean, I think we all were. 99.9%, if not 100% of the fan base were all demanding Steve Bruce to leave, and nothing's changed. But yeah, give me your thoughts on that tweet.
Well, it's just copy and paste every time in it now, innit? I mean, was it really going to come up and say that Steve Bruce is going to be sacked very, very soon? Honestly,
Well,
how can this man still be in a job at this football club?
Well, this is the thing. Like, when I look at Steve Bruce's track record, it's not Premier League. But when you look at what he's done at Newcastle, I think he's had a lot of luck whilst he's been here. And I think yesterday for me was the final straw. I mean, to be honest, the final straw was Chelsea. Go on.
Exactly. Well, it had to be the final straw, but obviously by the look of it, probably not new, but that had to be the final straw, the final nail in the coffin for him. As soon as that lineup got announced yesterday, and it was 5 at the back, I dreaded the game before kickoff. And look what happened. Look what happened. And it's just the excuses. I've had enough of them now. I've had enough of them now. Say they always all down the penalty. Was it bollocks, man? We were terrible from as soon as that whistle was blown. And I can't trust this man anymore. I can't see where the next win's coming from now. Arsenal were going to get absolutely turned over down at the Emirates. And then we've got after Arsenal. Is it Leeds at home?
Leeds at home and then Everton away.
So I think Leeds could end up turning over at home as well. Everton, well, track record down at Goodison's. Very, very poor as well. Honestly, I don't know where the next win's going to come from now. My trust with this manager is done.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think looking at that tweet, I'm not going to read into it too much because a lot can change, and we know what Mike Ashley is about. We know he's about his business and his assets and whatnot, and we know he's a one to pull the trigger if something's going badly wrong. And if he thinks that Newcastle United are not in a relegation battle, then he's naive. I think he's foolish.
We are. It's just going to take the teams just below it to start catching what up, and we're going to get sucked into that massively. Something has got to be done as soon as possible, or even now. I could not bear to watch more drab football from this manager. It was probably the worst performance I've seen yesterday. However, this season, that was the worst game I've seen. Against a bottom side team, look how the pick were apart. The way we were going forward was absolutely clueless. Just passing back every time, man.
It's the same old predictability, though. I expected it. When I seen the lineup, yes, you've got to stay positive and get behind the team. But when you see 5 at the back against Sheffield United,
Not to mention the midfield. Sean Longstaff, he's been terrible all season. Jeff Hendrick, do get me started with him. Why do we sign this lad? Anyway.
It's just poor recruitment, though, isn't it? When you think about it, you know, if you're bringing in bog standard championship players like Hendrick, and by the way, I know he played for Burnley, but he's not that good. And just as well, look, Peter, he was a free transfer.
Well, exactly, but it's still been a waste. Ryan Fraser, I mean, I have this worry about throwing players straight back into a start lineup after they've just come back from injury. Fraser should not have been thrown in that start line as well. Yeah, I want the lad to do well. I think he can do well, but just under this manager, my word, he's available one game and then he's out for the next game. But he's out for the next game because of the sending off he got.
Yeah, I don't think he should have started personally. I think he should have started off the bench, and he didn't have a God-given right to start the game, especially coming back from injury. I think that was always a risk. But I think for me, where the game was lost was before ball was kicked. When you look at that formation and you're playing 5 at the back against a side that hasn't won all season, then you're always going to put yourself up against it. And when he come out at the end and said Newcastle lost because of the penalty, I think that's a lot of bollocks in my opinion, because Sheffield United had more than enough chances to have won that game 3 or 4-0.
I mean, we only had, what was the first chance we had on target?
Target.
Box, Fabian Schär trying to catch Ramsdale off his line. That was I think that was the first attempt we had on target in that game. That was it.
But that's what I'm saying. That's not good enough though for Premier League level. You can't, go through games just sitting back. You can't play a wing back system when you haven't got the players that can do that. That can do 2 jobs at once.
Can't play a wing back system at this club as well. It does not work. It does not work.
And I look back at the team selection. There's certain players that didn't even start yesterday. I mean, where's Matty for a start? Why is he not playing? Richie.
But no, Steve Bruce thought, nah, time for you to come back on the bench. See if your brother can start progressing now. And he was abysmal against Sean Longstaff. It's the passing. It's not forwards. It's sideways or backwards.
There's only one route with Bruce Ball, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Or if you go on third route, put the ball up and hope for the best. But there's two players I felt sorry for yesterday, and I'll mention them. First of all, Carl Darlow. I mean, this lad was thinking, you know what, I'll go to Bramall Lane. I'll probably not have too much to do. I mean, let's be fair. He's probably had more to do than any other game he's played in. But Callum Wilson, I mean, wow, this lad was star of service.
The star of the service to Callum Wilson is beyond beggars' belief now. I mean, just playing this, was it hoof ball to him every time to see what he can do? And when he's got the ball, he's looking to find someone. There's anyone there.
And you just wonder why this lad signed for this football club.
Exactly. Well, he said he wanted to come to the club, but probably regretting that now at this moment of time with this bloody idiot in charge.
Well, I've just been digging out some of my research on what people have had to say about Steve Bruce, and you never guess who's defending him on TalkSport.
Oh, go on. Didn't say me that idiot Simon Jordan, is it?
Yeah, it's Simon Jordan. This is what he has had to say in the defence. Simon Jordan.
A man who said that Arsenal fan TV should be shut down.
Well, this is what Simon Jordan's had to say this afternoon, or it might be this morning actually. Simon Jordan defends Steve Bruce and suggests Jose Mourinho or Pep Guardiola wouldn't do any better as Newcastle United boss. Is he actually taking the piss? Anyone could do a better job than Steve fucking Bruce. Jerry me.
Not to mention an owner who failed at Crystal Palace, a previous owner who failed at Crystal Palace. Just shows what this bloke knows, what he knows, which is absolutely zilch.
Right, well, I've got some guests in Peter today. We've got quite a few, but it's always good to get you on as usual, mate. But just before we get some guests on, what's your thoughts for the next 3 games? And I mean, we've got Arsenal, we've got Leeds, we've got Everton. Do you think we're going to get any points in them?
I think Arsenal's a write-off. Arsenal is a write-off. No. Arsenal's a write-off. I think Leeds could be a massive write-off as well. As I mentioned, I don't know where the next win is coming from now. I've lost all faith in this manager.
Who would you want in, Peter? Who would you want in short term then? Let's just say we're looking short term. Who would you want in? as a replacement?
I know you said was it Nigel Pearson? I would actually give him a bit of a shot. Why not?
Well, the thing is, he's not going to cost loads, but I tell you what, he'd rough them fuckers up in that dressing
He
room.
does. He's done it before with other clubs he's managed. He would definitely do it at our team if he came here on a short-term basis. So yeah, I would definitely give a shot on Pearson.
Before you go, Peter, give your channel a bit of a plug. Peter is a YouTuber and he's looking to try and get to 900 subscribers. Is that right?
Yep. So I'm just under about 30 subscribers away from 900. So yeah, feel free to check me out as well. I was very angry on me 2 videos last night after the game. I was so pissed off, and yeah, you can see it if you have a look. Feel free to. And
tell them what you do. Tell them what you do on YouTube so people can go and find you. People can watch your content.
It's match previews. It's quick thoughts after a game, and I do player rating videos as well. If I've been at any football games, there's an odd vlog there at times as well. I've done FIFA ones as well, but I've done them for ages, so I'll have to look at bringing them back again sometime. Live streams, I've been doing them at times as well. So yeah.
Thanks, Peter, for coming on tonight, but I'm sure you'll continue to watch along. But yeah, go and check him out. Great YouTuber. Go and help him along to 900 subscribers, or of course 1,000 in the long term. But yeah, always a great laugh with Peter. Good content as usual. But yeah, thanks for coming on tonight, mate.
Thank you very much. Cheers, lad, mate.
See you later, mate. That's Peter. Go and check him out. Next we've got up is the Toon review. How's it going, Paul, mate? How you doing?
Mate, I've just calmed down from last night. I thought I was going to go blow a gasket doing my video. I think every bit of anger in me came out in me review video last night. I still can't believe that Ashley's backing the guy. You know what I mean? It's just absolutely ridiculous, mate.
The club is an absolute fucking shambles. Honestly, it is from top to bottom, and you can't swear if you want, because I'm looking at that tweet tonight and I'm thinking, how naive and how foolish does Mike Ashley want to be as an owner to think that we're not in a relegation battle? And I'm looking at that table now. It might look like we're not in a relegation battle. We'll be 8 points clear Fulham, but they've got 2 games in hand. And if they win tonight, let's say if they don't win tonight, they're going to get some points from somewhere, and we're going to get caught. If our gap goes from 8 to 5, that for me, that's instant alarm bells straight away.
You know what it's like, mate. When you're in the Premier League over the seasons, everybody's noticed that 1 or 2 teams get dragged into it in the last part of the season, and 8 points is nothing, absolutely nothing, because we know Fulham will pick points up along the way. Burnley certainly will. You know, yes, they haven't got the most prolific attack force, but they'll pick points up. Brighton will pick points up. Where's our next one's coming from? You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. And I actually look at the fixtures ahead and I'm thinking, where they're coming from?
No, I don't. Honestly, Paul, I'm looking at them myself, and I'm looking at the bottom bit where it says on Keep Downey's tweet, however, Ashley's patience will be expected to run thin if Newcastle were dragged into a dogfight for Premier League survival. Now, for me, if he's going to make some sort of change, I would make it now, or you've got to make it by the end of this month. And you look at the fixtures between now and the end of the month. We've got Arsenal. I don't believe we're going to win at the Emirates. Then we've got Leeds at home. Look back at what happened at Ellen Road, 5-2. They completely played off the park. And then we played Everton. Yes, it was our second string. And I will say that right now on YouTube, it was our second string. We beat them 2-1. And let's be fair, they could have actually nicked an equaliser right at the very death. But I'm looking at those 3 fixtures. I'm thinking, we're getting nothing here. And then they've got to make a move for me.
Well, I would have pulled the trigger this morning, mate, to be honest. I would have.
Oh, no. I get where you're coming from. Yeah. But if they're going to give him time, if you look at these next 3 fixtures, where we're getting the points from? Yeah.
I think Pete said there, I don't know whether you said as well, end of January is probably, or Carl said about the end of January is where the kind of cut-off point will be. But, you know, does he take the risk of that? We've seen it with McLaren. I mean, you said earlier on, McLaren 2.0. This is what we've got to be careful of. Mike Ashley could end up losing a lot of money. And I know, you know, you said on my show the other day about making a profit, which he still will, but we know he's all about the money. He's all about the big money. And I just can't believe someone who's got as far as he has in the business world will wait that long to lose that amount of money and risk it all. You know, I just can't see it. But, you know, it's all about the players as well. The players are fed up. You could see on their faces last night, they're fed up of playing Bruce ball. And, you know, I made a point halfway through the second half yesterday. I think Callum Wilson gave a free kick away, and he just belted the ball as hard as he could into the stands because that lad is just frustrated. He's fed up.
Yeah, I totally understand, and I totally agree with everything you're saying. I mean, for me, the biggest game of the season, and the biggest in Steve Bruce's managerial career, and he goes and plays 5 at the back against Sheffield United, one of the worst sides in the league, the worst in Premier League history in terms of how they've started, the worst in terms of not winning a game in all of the top 5 divisions in Europe, and trust Newcastle to go down to Sheffield United and put in a performance like that. And for me, I think the game was lost from the very get-go from that lineup.
Well, as soon as everybody saw the lineup, we knew what was happening, didn't we? You know what I mean? I mean, the fact he played Paul Dummett as a wing-back, we know he's not a wing-back. He's not a crosser of the ball. He's not prolific getting down the left.
Left back. He's more of a left back. He only goes halfway and that's it, goes back. He's more of a defender.
He is. If you're going to play wing-back, play Richie or play Lewis. We know Lewis isn't that good defensively, but Lewis is good, decent going forward. And if he's going to play wing-back, he needs pace. Dummett's not as fast as he used to be. He's still a decent defender, don't get us wrong. I don't mind Dummett at left back in a 4, but not in a 5. No way. If he's going to play Dummett in a 5, he goes centre back on the left-hand side, but not as a wing back. We just had no creativity in that team yesterday. Fraser's not fit. And Fraser was frustrated, which I think got to him for the sending off. He was sick of tracking back all the time, playing defensively. That's what's going to happen to our players, though, mate. It's going to happen in future games where they're going to get so fed up they give stupid little fouls away and get themselves sent off.
Yeah, for me, it's the whole 5 at the back. And I was crying out, and I said it in my preview, and I've said it in many videos this season and even last season, where more of a 4 at the backside. Play 4 at the back, 4-4-2 or 4. Do you know what? 4-2-3-1 was actually getting results. Why has he changed it? Do you know what I mean? You go with what the players are used to. That gets with further up the field and actually gets where, working the keeper. That's what I'm concerned about. We're not working the goalkeeper. And you look at the next 3 fixtures, they're decent sides. I look at Arsenal that turned the corner. I look at Leeds United. They're a good side. They're a good attacking side. I look at Everton. They've got goals on the side. In Newcastle, we can't afford to keep sitting back too deep. And you talk, about Callum Wilson and Fraser, getting frustrated. I mean, Callum Wilson, that's been his look since he's been here. If I'm being brutally honest, playing this 5 at the back, and you must wonder why he moved to this football club. Where he could have beat Aston Villa, and who knows where Villa could have been now? They could have been in the top 4. Yeah. But I look at Ryan Fraser. Why was he even starting yesterday? He should have come off the bench. And if he's not fully match fit, or even if he was fully match fit, if he's just come back from an injury, why is he even starting this game in one of the biggest games of the season? Surely you play Richie more further forward in a 4-4-2.
Yeah, thing is, I don't think a lot of Newcastle fans are actually sold on Fraser at the minute because he hasn't done anything for us yet.
I'm not either.
And I was disappointed when he got sent off yesterday. There was no emotion. There was no emotion on his face. There was no sort of complaint to the referee. I mean, I had no complaints about the sending off, don't get us wrong. But there was no emotion from him. There was no sort of anger, or he just looked and walked off. I mean, that.
Do you know what it is, though, Paul? Do you know what it is? I don't even think the red card necessarily changed the game. I think we were awful with 11.
No. See, I thought Bruce might have come on after the game and say, well, the penalty changed the game or the sending off changed the game.
Bollocks.
Absolute bollocks. If you look at the way we played in that first half, he was on about saying, we were waiting till half time to change it. Why should a manager wait till half time to change it? Would Fergie do that? Would Mourinho do that? No. He changed it during the match, which Bruce is incapable of doing. And also, I heard today that he came out with, Longstaff and Fraser were false number 10s. What's a false number 10?
Honestly, I'm at the point now where I can't even watch his press conferences because he talks that much shite and that he doesn't know doubt about our side. And I think he's just gambling on the players that we've got in order to try and dig them out the shit, and he's getting found out time and time again. It's getting worse and worse and worse by the week, game on game. And I tell you, the more I watch with, the further back we sit back in games. It's just like, were you not like scared of how much possession Sheffield United were actually getting? Like that's for me, for a team bottom of the league, and Newcastle can't compete. That for me tells me that stinks of relegation. That it really does.
Have you ever heard of a false number 10?
No, I don't think I have actually.
I've heard of false number 9. But a false number 10. Sean Longstaff, a false number 10 when all he does is play rugby and go backwards. He's not a false number 10, is he? And Fraser's a left winger, not a false number 10.
By the way, I can question some of his selections. Jeff Hendrick and Sean Longstaff, for me, they should never have started. It's sideways, backwards. And
what's that going to do to Matty's confidence?
Should have started for me.
Thrown in at the deep end, and then he gets dropped after a couple of games. What's that going to do to the lad's confidence when he's been one of our better players? Just shatters the confidence of players, mate. That's all he's doing. He's just dragging the players down to his level. And that's why a lot of the players are out of form, like Miggy. You know, we haven't seen ASM.
Where was he yesterday, by the way? I know he's been poor, but where was he?
Exactly. If he's going to play a false number 10, put Miggy in. Play Miggy as a number 10 in his proper position. You know what I mean? You have to laugh. You have to laugh with Steve Bruce as your manager, because honestly, I think he's fucking clueless. Honestly, I do. So if you don't laugh, it just
you have to cry. You have to fucking cry his tactics. He's so tactically inept. Honestly,
I got my emotions out last night, just straight after the match, raw video, just screaming at the camera, and then it was. Just,
well, like I say, I done me. Do you know what? This come off the hook. I thought, do you know what? I've done my little rant. Now it's up to the fans to have their say if they want to come on live and chat to us and stuff.
I've never seen you as angry as that on your video last night.
That's not like put on. That's been brewing up for months.
It's raw emotion. It's proper because we're proper fans. You know, we're not going to
fucking shit, mate. It's the same. It's the same old shite. Exactly. It's the same old shite.
We're not going to sit there and go, oh well, we lost again, you know, ha ha. And
yeah, well, you know, you roll your sleeves up, you know. Well, you got to try it. Honestly, it's shit.
It does me head in, mate. It does me head in, but you know, I'm just gutted. And
I think
next. You know what I mean?
I've just been speaking to the other lads about the free fixtures coming up. Where's my next points coming from? I mean, like I say, we've got Arsenal, Leeds, and Everton. You tell me where the points are coming from.
Arsenal are going to play a different team to the one that was in the cup for a start. They're going to have all the big guns back, and we know they're playing well again now. The last few Premier League games. Leeds United will just destroy us because of the football they play. Certain teams can overrun them the way Leeds play, but not us. Leeds will overrun us like they did at Elland Road. And Everton, now if you watched them last night, they played so well. I mean, Ancelotti's he's good with his tactics, whereas Bruce isn't. I just don't see any points in the next 3 games, James. I don't know where
we're getting points from, if I'm being brutally honest. People are saying Crystal Palace and that. We don't look like beating anyone. We don't even look like stringing 2 passes together, let alone win a game.
No. All we do is we get the ball in the 18-yard box, we pump it up to Wilson and expect him to work miracles. And it's just like, I feel so sorry.
Without his goals, we're fucked.
Oh,
we're in the bottom 3.
Bottom, yeah, exactly. But, you know, you've got to consider we've had a few penalties this season as well. I mean, Wilson stuck them away, but...
It was never a penalty against Fulham, though, for me. That was free kick.
You know what it is? Everybody says about the penalty last night, but I'm not bothered about whether it was or it wasn't.
We should anyway.
We deserve to win the game.
Well, I was about to say with that penalty for me, whether that was a penalty or not, I think it's 50-50. But you know what? I was at the point, just fucking give them it. We're shit anyway. We've done nothing. Yeah. It's, you know what? We haven't even competed with them. That's the thing. Now, just give them the goal. They deserve it.
That's exactly how I felt when the referee went over to that screen and then he came out and pointed to the spot. I just had no emotion, mate. I just was not like, oh no way was that a penalty. I was just motionless, just watching it. And then when he stuck it in, I was just like, they deserve it. You can't say that they didn't deserve it because they did.
No, to be honest with you, I think 1-0 flat as us, so we should have lost 3 or 4.
And I am sick of that. I mean, I mentioned it on my video. I'm sick of that camera going to Steve Bruce and seeing him that stupid pout. Honestly, I swear to God, that's all he does the whole game. Is he? Well. That's all he looks like.
Well, you know,
I'm just going to change it here, and I'm going to do this, and I'll do that. Nothing. Anyway,
I honestly think he's out his depth completely. I think, if you're going to make a change, I think it needs to happen now. Otherwise, that they are cutting it really thin now. And these next 3 fixtures, as difficult as they're going to be, if Mike Ashley's trying to look for points, then he's best hope that Steve Bruce somehow digs out wins from somewhere. These lucky socks have got to come back out the draw, because right now luck has run out with Steve Bruce and the players. If you've lost the dressing room, for me, and I was watching Steve Rafe's YouTube about half an hour ago, and he was mentioning about. He said that the players control the dressing room these days. And I actually have to agree with that. Players now have more of a say, and I think Steve Bruce is like the little kid, the cleaner. Fuck off! We're not listening to you. We'll go and do what we want to do. But when it comes to the actual game, they look fucking clueless.
Exactly. But that's where Nigel Pearson would not take any crap. And I know people say, "Oh, he's an older manager." I don't care. He's a disciplinarian. He would come in and he'd give them a rocket up their asses. And if they didn't perform for him, they wouldn't be on the pitch. And he certainly wouldn't shit on players like what's happened to Matty and stuff like that. If a player's playing well for Pearson, he backs them 100%. And that's why he did so well at Leicester, getting them out the mire, because he backed the players. The same players who were bottom of the league, struggling and looking like relegation fodder at Christmas, he got the best out of them and gave them the motivation to get out of the trouble that they were in. And look what he did. And I think it was scandalous he got sacked, but that's not what the point is. The point is he got so much better out of those players than he did that they were doing. They were bottom of the league, looking like they were gone, and then suddenly, bang, he got the best out of them. But hey ho, I'll let you get a few more guests on anyway, mate.
Yes, Paul, but I was got to say, you go and promote yourself out before you go.
Yeah, just as I say, just the Toon Review on Facebook, on YouTube. I do have a lot of rants, as people well know. And
the Monday night show as well that we've got started as well.
Show, yeah, it's called The Four Horsemen of the Toon, with me, you, PD, Proudlook, and John Sinclair. It's every Monday. It'll be Tuesday next week, though, because we'll play Arsenal on Monday. So we'll probably be in lovely moods come Tuesday night anyway for that show. But yeah, I'm going to start doing plenty more live streams. You're going to be on the channel a lot, James. So you're one of the. We'll get
you on Friday if you have like maybe a 10:50 if you want to come on.
I'm open to that, mate. Definitely.
This is just a special one about Bruce. Get your thoughts. But Paul, Ozzy, as ever, it's great to have you on. But be sure to go and check him out. I'll leave you a link at the end of the stream as well. So bear with us and yeah, please go and follow him if you're watching this from the rerun. But as ever, Paul, you keep yourself safe out there, mate, and we'll speak to you soon.
You too, bud. Take care.
Take it easy, mate. Watch what you're doing. So that was Paul from the Toon Review. If anybody else wants to come back in, we do have Brian as well. We'll see what's. Let's have a look. We do have a Bristol City fan in, but this is more about Newcastle tonight. We've got Brian. It's good to see you back, mate. Thanks for your patience. Yes.
No bother, Shock. We'll see what this headset's like. Yeah.
It's been quite a busy one tonight, actually, with this whole, Bruce debate. But
I like Paul. I've just started following Paul. I like his passion. He's a good lad, so I've subscribed to him. Getting back to Newcastle, though, I mean, I've got a little bit of heart for the Leeds game after what happened with them in Crawley. But still,
do you think we're going to get a result?
No, but if he goes out and plays the five at the back and he defends for the 90 minutes and and he doesn't go for the game, yeah, Leeds they'll just steamroll away and they'll beat with. Me, I'll be like Leeds, they're dodgy at the back. Get at them straight away. Yeah, they'll probably get a couple of goals against her, but get at Leeds' back, especially the keeper, Casellas or what.
He's called. What's his name now? Yeah.
That, unfortunately.
Brian, you are cutting out ever so. I don't know what's going on with your connection, mate, but it's when you're talking, it's cutting out every now and again.
Strange. I've got a good headset on as well, so we'll just.
Oh no, it might just be where you've got your phone or wherever your camera is located. It might just be that. Maybe the signal.
All right then. Seems every time I go on a rant, we get cut off.
No, but we'll keep it as it's going. But yeah, if you look at the three fixtures coming up, Arsenal, Leeds, Everton, Leeds has to be the winnable game, but I can't see we're beating Leeds, if I'm being brutally honest. We can't string two passes together, let alone win a Premier League game. We haven't won in 8. Do you know what I mean? Confidence is shot.
Not in the tactics he plays, but we won't beat them. He has to change his tactics and he has to go for it. We can't sit back willy-nilly now for the next 20 games and try and sneak a 1-0 win every week. It's not going to happen.
Brian, that's for you off the Toon Review. But anyway, I just don't understand how Ashley can give Steve Bruce any more time. I mean, if I'm an owner and I'm looking at that form, I'm not saying it because I'm a Newcastle fan, but in terms of your club stability, in terms of being in the best league in the world, you need to make change. You know what I mean? 19 points from how many games played? 17? It's not acceptable. It's not good enough.
Totally agree. Why delay the inevitable? Get rid now.
I just think at the end of the day, I really just don't know where the next win's coming from. The lads, for me, they've lost Steve Bruce as a manager. Steve Bruce has lost the dressing room, and people say, "Oh, it's not." It is. For me, if he hadn't lost the dressing room, then I think we'd do a lot better than we are. I mean, 5 at the back against Sheffield United. I mean, that's massively backfired on him, as it has in most games.
That's the most annoying thing about him. He doesn't learn. He keeps making the same mistakes every single week. That to me is an inept person. Never mind manager. He's just inept. He's not up for the job.
No, I don't. I think he's a bog standard Championship manager. That's where he belongs, unfortunately. And I'm just sick of everything at this moment in time because you want your club to be successful, you want the club to be the best it can be, and the club is crying out for investment of some sort. Do you know what I mean? That's why I hope the takeover happens, very, very soon. Fingers crossed. And there is some developments. But I've never asked for a takeover so fast now. Honestly, it's just draining now watching at this moment in time. It's all too predictable, and it's getting to the point now where I'm not even up for games anymore. I'm doing previews and that, but when it comes to actual game day,
I totally emphasise with you. I never lie down and watch a match. I'm always sitting up on my hunkers, and I'm anxious and I'm tense. Yesterday I was lying down. I was sitting down like that.
Do you know what it is though? I don't even do that anymore. I'm literally just slouched watching it because you just know what's going to happen. Like if we concede now, I'm just like, oh well. It's been like Steve Bruce. Well, we tried. It's just there's just no there. Do you know what I mean? It's shit. It's week in, week out.
It's the same platitudes every single week. It's the same tactics every single week. The same excuses every single week. The guy just hasn't got a clue. Me personally, I think he's just waiting for his payoff.
I really do. I mean, that's the reason why Mike Ashley is keeping him, because he's a cheap option. He's obviously looked at the table and he thinks because we're 8 points clear Fulham, that Fulham aren't going to catch well. Well, if that's his thinking, he's very naive. For me, he's very foolish, and whatever word you want to use to think that Newcastle are not in a relegation battle, because we are. If fans think that we're not in relegation battle, then there's something the matter with it, because if we haven't won in 8 games in all competitions, that's shocking. That for me shouldn't even be in the Premier League. Personally, it's not Premier League form.
We're giving them guys underneath us, West Broms and Sheffields. We're giving them hope, because believe you me, they'd be watching us now thinking, "There's another. We can catch them. We can definitely catch them. They're on the slide. We're definitely on the slide. We're giving them hope."
This is what I'm saying. I don't know where the next win's coming from. And when you're seeing tweets like that from Keith Downey, who I massively respect, by the way, and it's good that Keith Downey's kept winning the loop, but it's not the sort of tweet you want to be saying. You don't want to be reading that. Do you know what I mean? You want to hear the total opposite. That finally, Steve Bruce, it's the final nail in the coffin, getting beat off Sheffield United, no wins in 8. That's it now. Do you know what makes me laugh now? It makes me laugh the fact that we've had will be 4 days or 5 days between the Sheffield United game and the Arsenal game. There's time to make change. Then if you look at the Arsenal game right on the Monday, we've then got Leeds. There's space. We've got 7 or 8 days.
Yeah, the whole club. I mean, from the owner, like I mentioned before, the backroom staff, Steve Bruce's backroom staff, they're useless as well. And him, I mean, we're just crying out for a change, and it's going to happen eventually. I mean, Steve Bruce isn't going to be there next year, please God, even if by some miracle he keeps up, I think they'll still would we want him to keep up if it meant him getting another year? I don't think so. I
would personally scream, cry, whatever it's going to be if Steve Bruce gets a new contract. I really hope that Steve Bruce does not get a contract extension. I'm just hoping now that he goes at the end of this month or he goes at the end of the season, because I don't think I could bear another season with Steve Bruce. I really cannot. But
by some miracle he keeps it up, he'll be here another year. So do you want him to keep it up? Go and catch 22?
I think we're a bit of a catch-22, because if we go down, then it's going to have a massive negative impact on the takeover. Do you know, if Mike Ashley wants to sell for that 300 million, whatever he's talking about, if we get relegated, the club value is going to drop.
He looks like a man who wants out, who wants paid off, because he's not going to walk. I know.
Steve Bruce is not going to walk away, because, as you mentioned, he's taking it for the paycheck. He's on good money. If anything, if he resigns, then Mike Ashley doesn't need to pay him off. Do you know what I mean? He's not daft.
I just can't see. Like, I think if they're going to wait until the end of January, I think the wasting maybe that lift you get when a new manager comes in. It's
new manager bounce
or 3 points, just that lift. Remember when Kennedy was saying I think a couple of years ago, and for a really bad situation, it turned the club round. Then he was rubbish the next year. I understand that, but that lift that a new manager can give you, it's worth 3 to 6 points just on its own. Just that lift that a manager can give you.
As I mentioned before, though, Brian, we don't even look like stringing 2 passes together. Never mind winning the game. Do you know what it is, though? The thing is, what really annoys me, he comes out in these post-match press conferences, or even pre-match, and he bigs up the side. And before the Sheffield United game, they're a good side. They're piss all a good side. The bottom of the league, that 2 points at the time.
Yeah, because maybe in his mind they are a good side. And he did it against the League Ones, the League Two side, in the cup. He did the same thing.
Precisely my point. But this is why we struggle.
Yeah, he hasn't got a clue. And the guys at the top are watching this, and they're just like they're hand waving it. Well, we'll see what happens.
He's downgrading our own players before a game to say, oh, well, Sheffield United have got better players than Newcastle. I mean, what's that going to do for the confidence?
Nothing. You can see it. It's reflecting in the players. Like, the thing is, he's got the likes of Ryan Fraser and he's playing them. He did it with St. Maximum. He's got St. Maximum come back and defending. He can't defend. He's a flair player. If I was managing the likes of St. Maximum and Fraser, it'd be like, you go and do your stuff up the top, like we used to with Ginola, and I'll get the guys, the defenders, to do the defending. Yeah, you might have to come back for set pieces and stuff like that, but the rest of the game, just do your stuff. See where you are. We'll get the ball to you when you do your stuff. We're not doing that.
Yeah, the football, there's just no identity at this football club anymore, unfortunately, and this has to be that it had to have been the final straw for Steve Bruce. I'm just so angry and annoyed. Like, whatever word you want to use, to the fact he's got, the backing of the owner.
It's frustrating. He looks like a man who wants a payoff. He looks like he even wants so.
Oh, well, yeah, but this is what I'm saying. He's got no reason to leave. Do you know what I mean? He's still got a year and a half left, and that pains us because, to be honest, he should never have been given a 3-year contract. And this is where I don't understand in our players' contracts, managers' contracts. How do they get so long? If you're an owner who owns a football club, for like a business point of view, you give them a year contract or a couple of year contract and let them see that out and see if they improve. If they don't improve, then at least you can make a change. At least you've got that space.
They won't sign it. Otherwise, I mean, it's probably a minimum of 3 years because they know how fickle the football world is. And if they haven't got confidence in their own ability, they're not going to say for 1 year or a year and a half. They want that 3 years because they know, especially the likes of Steve Bruce, a good manager probably would. You'd probably say, yeah, give us a year. I'll turn you around then, give us another 2. A manager like Bruce, with his track record, I don't think he's ever spent more than 2 seasons at a club.
It's just typical Newcastle fashion, isn't it? To give Steve Bruce a big, long contract to back him with all this money. And that's what really annoys me as well. He's been backed this summer, with some decent players like Callum Wilson, like Ryan Fraser, like Jamal Lewis, and yet we're still worse.
Yeah, he's not instilling any confidence in the players, and that's reflecting on the performances. You can see that the players just look half the players they did maybe 2 years ago, because most of the players from Rafa's era are still here, and they look a shadow of the players that they were back then.
Well, I'm just looking at some of the research I've done, and obviously TalkSport, there's other radio stations available, but Simon Jordan, yet again, defending Steve Bruce. I mean, I will give credit to Adrian Durham, though. He has defended the Newcastle fans. He's obviously said, how can you defend, Steve Bruce? But this is what Simon Jordan's had to say this morning, or it might be this afternoon. Simon Jordan defends Steve Bruce and suggests that Jose Mourinho or Pep Guardiola wouldn't do any better as Newcastle United boss. Is he actually taking the piss when he says that?
Absolutely ludicrous. He's winding up. He's trolling. It's as simple as that. I tell you what, if you think so, I always say like birds of a feather stick together. These guys, they're the money men, they're all
pals on there.
If he was a fan and he was watching Bruce's team every week, if Simon Jordan still owned Crystal Palace, would he give Steve Bruce a job? No. Would he be saying the same things now about Steve Bruce if he was managing his team and costing them money? No. It's because he's not a Newcastle fan. It's the same with Redknapp and Savage. They're not fans. They don't watch for week in and week out. It's as simple as that.
Honestly, this is what I mean, and this is what really, really fucks me off with these pundits. They don't watch for every week. It's literally 1 game every month or 1 game every 2 or 3 months. And that same thing's like, oh, Steve Bruce is a great manager. Well, I'm sorry to say, but his managerial stats in this league suggest otherwise. The points tally suggests otherwise. The games that we've won to the games that we've lost suggest otherwise. It suggests otherwise on the performances on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? And the noises that are coming out of the club and the fans saying otherwise, that tells you that Steve Bruce is not good enough. Not good enough for Newcastle, but let alone the Premier League. He's not good enough for this level of football.
When he got the job, well, what's smacking my head? Like, what?
I bought a cabbage. I even went out to buy a cabbage in protest.
You'd even get rid of a Ferrari and go and buy a Ford Escort, and that's exactly what we do, and we do it all the time. We'll get rid of good players and we'll replace them with shit ones. We'll get rid of good managers, Rafa, we'll replace them with shit ones, and then we'll scratch our heads when we're in this situation. It's madness, man. It's like
that for me. That still will always stick with me. That getting rid of Rafa and bringing in Steve Bruce. I mean, who the fuck does that? Oh yeah, Newcastle United.
Everyone sees Mike Ashley as he's a brilliant businessman. I beg to differ. No, because football is just like business.
Zero communication with one of the best fan bases in world football, and yet he doesn't talk to her. We'll get one copy and paste statement from Lee Charnley a season.
Yeah, it's like I say, getting rid of a Ferrari and buying a Ford Escort. What? No, and expecting the same performance out of it. Well, hold on, I'm pressing the accelerator, nothing's happened. What? You just don't do it. It's cheap. It's a cheap, small-minded mentality. That's what Mike Ashley and Newcastle have had for God knows how long.
I was about to say, Brian, it's a cheap appointment, and now it's reaping cheap results, and that's what's happening this season. Now you can only get away with so much. For me, he's just winged his way through like last season. I mean, yes, he made some excuses up, and not necessarily his side, but with the investment that he's had this summer just gone. There's no excuse now, and do you know what I mean? We should be climbing up the league. And when he's coming out and saying things like the remit and whatnot, I mean, what does that say for to the fans? I mean, yes, the owner doesn't want ambition at Newcastle United, but when your manager's not with it, and he's coming out and saying, "Oh, the remit is just to stay mid-table," but yet you want your manager to exceed expectations. Because, by the way, if I'm a manager, I don't want to come in and just like settle for mid-table. If I'm looking at Newcastle's squad, I'm thinking, do you know what? You're capable of getting top 7. I'm not saying you're going to get Champions League. I'm not putting that necessary pressure on you. But I'm looking at you and I think, do you know what? You could do the business. And if you stick with it, if we all sing off the same hymn sheet, we can all get through this together, and we can get where this club deserves to be, which is Europe. And fuck what the owner thinks. I'm the manager of this football club. I'm taking control of the situation. But unfortunately, because it's the total opposite with Steve Bruce, and he's lost the dressing room, there's no way that Newcastle can go forward. And I'm sure, and the players can say what they want, but if they're hearing things like the remit, how are they ever going to, become better players? How are they going to learn off Steve Bruce? How are they going to learn to want to climb the table and make Newcastle United a better club? They can't.
That's Mike Ashley. They should put that on Mike Ashley's tombstone. Remit, safety first, because that's probably exactly what he said to Rafa, and Rafa told him to bugger off. You're not getting any money. This is a remit. Keep her in for a third season. Stop her from getting relegated for a third season, and I'm happy with that. And Rafa's like, sod that. I've done it for 2 seasons. 1 got you out of the championship. I've kept her up safe. Give us some money. No, keep her safe. Now I'm off. Brucey, I'll do that, Mr. Ashley. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, it's such a... It really pisses you off, and... like I say, if I'm a footballer playing for Newcastle United Football Club right now, I wouldn't be happy to play games, personally, under that manager.
How the hell he got the players he got? I mean, he's a young lad, Wilson. I don't know what's happened to him, by the way.
He'll be away, mate. If we go down at the end of the season, he'll be away. ASM, gone.
Oh, the left back, sorry, the young lad, the young kid, the left back. I don't know where he's been for the last 4 or 5 or 6. What he said to him and Callum Wilson, I've got no idea.
Oh, Lewis, Jamal Lewis.
Sorry, that's the one. I always get them mixed up, Lewis and Wilson. What he said to him and Wilson... I'm not bothered with Hendrick. The Schmiede must have given them to sign. I mean, they're now on good money, but did he turn around to them and say, "Oh, well, look, our ambition for the next 5 years, your contract is just a remit to stay safe"? I don't think so. Is that what he said to them, Brucey?
Well, look what came out in the media. Look what he said. Was it after the Man City game? Well, our remit's just to stay in the Premier League. Well, if I'm Callum Wilson and I've just signed that big contract in the summer, I tell you what, I'll be reevaluating that contract. I'll be saying, hold on, I want to be out here. Like, it's a big club, didn't get us wrong, but I want to go to a club that's going to win something.
Of course, Villa would have paid him the same wages. And that's hindsight.
Villa, you know what? This pains me saying I don't like Aston Villa, but for me, they're more ambitious than us at the minute.
Everyone's more ambitious than us at the minute.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what it is. Sheffield United were rubbish. They couldn't hit a barn door. The Brewster, they paid 23 million for him. How many? He had about 5 or 6 clear-cut chances. McGoldrick had umpteen chances.
They should have won for a 4-0, mate. Where the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, the style of play that we use, we make bottom of the table teams look like top 6 teams.
But we're in a false position, though. Like I said it before the game kicked off. Like we're 15th, but let's be honest. We've been declining for like months. Do you know what I mean? It's only because we've gone 6 or 7 games unbeaten that fans have clicked on. Mate, I've clicked on for months. Like, we've been awful. We've been shit. I can only name probably 2 or 3 games where we've been good.
There's an old saying, blagging it. We've been blagging it.
We have winging it. I've said it for the last. Well, how long's it been here? 18 months. Mm-hmm. I can't name many good performances.
Mm-hmm. Oh God! Well, West Ham, I've got to admit, the first game of the season, I was like, flipping heck.
That was the benchmark though, and we didn't kick on. I mean, when you're getting thumped 3-0 at Brighton, I mean, come on, Brighton.
They've never had a better result since. Have you noticed Brighton's results since they played us? They've never had a result like that. They've never played an easier team than us. Because all the other results, you know, they haven't thrown up any stones. They haven't like played brilliant or amazingly. They're right down in the mire now, but they played brilliant against us. What does that tell you?
But that's what I'm saying. We make any club look amazing when we play them. Do you know what I mean? It's just it's the way we're set up. And to be honest, if Steve Bruce has learned anything off yesterday, don't ever play 5 at the back again. Otherwise, you're just going to get more and more shit. But personally, I didn't want him. I don't want him to manage the Arsenal game. That's not what I want. But by the sounds of the tweet, he's going to be for at least, I would say, 2-3 games at the very least. Otherwise, if we lose them 3, he has to go. For me, it's inevitable.
Please let us lose them, because we're going to lose them anyway. I mean,
I'll say it right now. I'm doing those free previews. I don't think we're winning any of those games, personally. Sorry, we're not.
If by some miracle you could just say we could beat Arsenal 2-0 next week, would you want the 2? Because I wouldn't. That means you're stuck with
I don't. I think we'll be done by half time against Arsenal.
Just get it done. I'd be almost disappointed if we took a 2-0 lead against Arsenal by some miracle next week. I'd be like, oh God, we're stuck with Brucey. We're still stuck with them. That means, you know what? If we're gonna get a point from somewhere, as mentioned in the stream, Leeds at home will probably shithouse us out with 0-0 draw because Leeds have played awful. What they did against Crawley, but I mean that keeper was awful.
And I don't think that. I mean, I thought they were going to go for the FA Cup, but I don't think they're that bothered. I think their aim this season will be to stay in the league, try and finish as high as possible, and then next season push on and maybe go for Europe.
Yeah. Oh God, man, it's just so depressing, man. Honestly, I just want them gone. It's just simple as that, and I would take anyone, and I literally mean. Who would you let's say who would you want? Who would you want to charge? Like, well, there's talk of Pearson, obviously Eddie Howe's obviously for next. I would say Eddie Howe's more for next season because I don't think there's a way that he's going to come back in if he's taking a break. I want an old school hairdryer type tough manager. I don't even care what his capabilities and what he's done in the last few years, because if he's going to be short term anyway, it doesn't matter. I want like a tough. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head.
I think Nigel Pearson. I think his name just screams out who's going to get the best out of what we've got.
I quite like the idea of Duncan Ferguson as well, if you could get him there, because he wouldn't take knee rubs, but it's just his lack of experience. I tell you what, really love Gerrard.
Gerrard for me would definitely be. Gerrard would definitely be a step up, I would say, because there's no doubt he's going to take the Liverpool job when Klopp
eventually. But the only way Gerrard gets the Liverpool job is if he's like successful elsewhere. Liverpool don't go on emotion. They don't go, we'll give somebody the job just because he used to play for. Liverpool aren't Newcastle. They'll only give Gerrard that job, right? If he's proved himself and he's successful, he could do that at Newcastle and then step over to Liverpool. He could. Well, I think he did great at Newcastle.
Like I say, I'm looking at someone like say Pearson, who I think could steady the ship in the short term and then see what happens at the end of the season. If a takeover happens, if Pearson's not the one for the new ownership, maybe give him a job in the club somewhere as like a thank you to say, you've done a decent job, but we're going to look for an experienced manager like Eddie Howe, like a younger manager. But I see where you're coming from. But anyway, Brian, we're going to have to cut it short because we have got a few guests in. But it's great to have you on as ever. If you want to come on Friday, feel free. We're doing it every week between 7 and 9.
I'll be on the Tuesday next because I like the Monday night one that Paul's got, but I always work on a Monday night, so I'll be on the Tuesday one.
I don't know what. I'll be on that one, but my show's every Friday. This is just like a one-off, but like I say, Brian, thanks for your support and whatnot. But you're always welcome on the channel.
Right, take care, mate. Let's
take it easy, mate. What are you doing?
Catch you later.
Drama.
Bye.
Okay, we'll go. We'll bring in the Bristol City fan. How's it going, mate? You all right?
Yeah.
I was a bit cautious to bring you in because I wasn't sure because it was more like about Newcastle chatting Steve.
No,
I was hearing from Jody. You want to talk about the game?
Yeah. So people are saying that the red card didn't affect the game. Of course, it did affect the game because we've seen Newcastle do it, like last season, or this season even, like at Spurs away. They can S-house a result. They can potentially just hang on and get a goal and just hang on from there. So it's a bit of rubbish that it didn't affect the game. Of course, Sheffield United were on top the whole of the game.
Yeah.
That's what Bruce Ball is. You're not going to appoint Bruce and then say, oh, we're going to play 3 at the back, explosive wingers. Sam Maximan is going to do everything. Callum Wilson is going to score loads of goals. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. The thing is, if Newcastle want to go get up the league, I personally think they need to give Bruce money in January. If he needs his players, a guest earlier said some of the Rafa players are still there. That's also a problem. He needs Bruce players. That's why he did good at Villa, because he had a couple of seasons to get his players, and then from there kicked on. If he gets players which suit his style, Newcastle could go up the league, easily finish top half, in my opinion.
I'm totally on the total opposite side. Personally, I see where you're coming from. I wouldn't give Steve Bruce any money. I think he's totally finished. I think the excuses are they're just really poor, and he knows it. And the thing about the Sheffield United game, you talk about the red card, changed the game. I didn't think it really mattered how the game went. I think we were awful with 11 men, never mind 10. I think the setup was all wrong. I think when you're going 5 at the back against Sheffield United, I mean, bottom of the league, very poor side, and trust Newcastle to be the first club, to give them their first 3 points of the season. That was about to happen. It's just all too negative. I said it on the Monday's preview, go 4-4-2. Just go 4-2-3-1. I don't mind we're losing as long as we work the goalkeeper. We didn't do enough of that, unfortunately. And Sheffield United, I mean, the penalty, he talks about how, was it a penalty? Was it not a penalty? It was never a penalty. For me, it was a 50-50 call. And I was at the point where I'm thinking, just give him it. We're being awful all game. It doesn't really matter. I think 1-0 flatters us. We should have lost by, I say 3 or 4 goals. And Sheffield United, yes, they had a bit of a panic towards the end, but they've done well to see the game out. And it's just the way we're set up. As I say, the players have just lost all faith in Steve Bruce. When you've lost the dressing room, there's no way. It doesn't matter who you bring in. If you've lost the dressing room, there's no chance that they're going to improve under him. And he knows it. And the players nowadays, and it happens in most dressing rooms, they have a lot of control. They have a lot of say. And you've got a lot of experienced players in there, such as Matt Ritchie and Shelby, who've been there, since the relegation with Rafa, and Rafa's walked away, and I think the morale's just dropped. Last season, I think he got a lot of luck in games, and he's had a lot of luck this season as well. And you can talk about, the Fulham game, for example, when we got that equaliser, it wasn't a penalty, it was a free kick, and I'll say that to be honest. I think Fulham should have won the game. We got very lucky with West Brom. I think for me, West Brom played all right. They should at least come away with a draw. There's only 2 games this season, or 3 games, where I think we've played well, and I think it was the first game of the season, West Ham. That should have been my benchmark. We didn't kick on, got hammered off Brighton. We played all right against Burnley at home, beat them 3-1 with ASM. He's been a massive miss, by the way, and that's been proven in the results. But we can't be over reliant on the likes of Callum Wilson and ASM, because we need to be a united side. I don't think we are, and there's no doubt that these players are bad, as you mentioned. I think they are good players, but I think they need a better manager in that's going to get the best out of them, because I think long term, for me, I think we're heading down as far as I'm concerned. That's not being over the top. I think you might look at the table and think, okay, we're 8 points clear Fulham, but that can change very quickly.
Yeah. I know that, but if you're gonna play, like, the style of football is bad, and also the personnel he's going with, like Callum Wilson up front, and you're constantly giving the ball up to him against the likes of Egan, against the likes of Basham, against the likes of O'Connell.
Yeah.
And Norwood dropping deep as well. He's just getting bullied with 3 centre-backs. Especially when you come up against 3 centre-backs, you should not play Callum Wilson up front. It never works. Either play Andy Carroll with Callum Wilson, or put the wingers near to Callum Wilson, and give him
so what you're saying is a 4-3-3?
No. If Bruce is going to be stubborn with the 5-4-1, at least put the wingers closer to Callum Wilson, because if he doesn't do that, it's never going to work.
That's what I'm saying, mate. We don't have players that can do that. The players they're just not confident enough of getting forward and put balls into the box.
Brian Fraser did that at Bournemouth, and it worked.
Different type of side, though. We just don't have confident enough players that are going to get you forward. I know Bournemouth are totally different kettle of fish, and they played well under Eddie Howe, but you just look at our side from the outside looking in, it's not great. And we don't work the goalkeeper enough, and you can't afford to do that in games, and that's why we're being found out. That's why we haven't won a game in in 8, and it's all there for seeing Steve Bruce. He's coming out with these excuses that we're trying, we're rolling our sleeves up. I'm not seeing any of that. And against Sheffield United, the biggest game of the season, and we were second best from minute 1 to minute 90. They controlled the game, Sheffield United. And listen, if it wasn't for Caldalo, and I've mentioned this so many times, would lose more than just the 1-0 of yesterday. It should have easily been 3, 4, 5, 6. It was that bad. I mean, we had a bit of luck at the end with chances, but it was never really going to fall our way. And I felt if we even got a 1-1 yesterday, it wouldn't have been just. I've got to be honest. I think Sheffield United would have been hard done by. And like I say,
Newcastle nearly got an equaliser as well.
Yeah, we did. I mean, you talk about the January. I can't see Mike Ashley, bringing anyone in personally.
Yeah, I mean, it feels a bit like what happened at Sheffield Wednesday for Steve Bruce, because the club was in chaos. Like, let's be honest, it is at the moment with the takeover and stuff, and he's constantly playing his defensive tactics. Players not used to him like he was at Wednesday, and then he resigned because he got money from Newcastle and they wanted him because Rafa walked out. I feel like that might happen again, but Steve Bruce had a club he could go to. If Steve Bruce gets a job from a higher team, no disrespect, but that's very unlikely. Let's say he gets a job from like a Wolves, who are a little bit higher than Newcastle at the moment.
Yeah.
He could take it. He's going to resign. Newcastle might get the money and then might appoint like Eddie Howe, who's going to be good. But the thing is, it's not going to happen. Bruce is not going to resign. He needs to be sacked. But Mike Ashley's not going to do it.
Well, this is it. Mike Ashley, for me, will do things last minute. He did it with Steve McLaren 2.0. Brought Rafa in, who I thought done a fantastic job. When he was at the club, and he stabilised everything. We were literally, I would say, just one extra game away from staying up. That's how much belief he brought into the side. And I just think it was all a little too late. And, he stabilised the club, got back out of the Championship. First time of asking back into the Premier League. 2 decent, finishes, 10th and 13th, finishing on more points, finishing 13th than we did 10th. So for me, that's progression straight away. But then to say to Rafa Benitez, to say to Mike Ashley, right, I want a bit of money, come and strengthen the side, come and now start pushing for maybe top 8. We're not asking for Europe, but maybe long term, help us out. And Mike Ashley said no. Then if your better manager's leaving for someone who's worse off, then for me, that's not progression. Do you know what I mean? And for me, with all the comments of Steve Bruce, I think it's justified. I mean, look at his CV, look at where he's been, look at the things he said in the past. When he was Sunderland manager, Newcastle isn't my dream job. He goes on like he's some sort of Geordie. For me, he's not. He's not. He doesn't belong at Newcastle. He's Manchester United through and through. And I just think he's all talk. I think he's a load of waffle. And there's only so much you can take. But, the tweet come out tonight says that that he's going to be backed. But for me, I think you can only give him so long. I think you have to give him to at least the end of the month. But I appreciate your point tonight, mate. We do have a few more guests coming in tonight. But what's your thoughts on Bristol City then for the rest of the season?
Well, I didn't.
By the way, feel free to come in on Friday if you want.
Yeah, thanks. I don't really want to come here and talk about Bristol City because it's.
Well, we'll talk about it on Friday. But I appreciate all your comments and stuff and what you've had to say about the club from the outside looking in. But like I say, are you on YouTube?
Yeah. Yes. It's right there, so you can please make sure to subscribe to me. I really appreciate it.
What's your content?
Championship predictions. Some in-depth analysis, really. So yeah.
Yep. So make sure to give them a subscription. But yes, thank you so much for coming on, mate, and you keep yourself safe out there.
Thanks.
See you later. Yep. So that was a Bristol City fan just talking from the outside looking in. Oh, look who's coming in. We've got Ryan over from Canada. How you doing, mate?
I'm all right considering what happened yesterday.
This is a bit of a special. This is not even the Friday, chaps. This is just Steve Bruce, the pressure that he's under. Obviously, we were all banking on Steve Bruce to leave tonight. But if you look at the tweet from Keith Downey tonight that they're going to back him, I mean, I'm absolutely furious.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised, by the way.
I don't want a Steve McLaren 2.0, and I feel like that's going to happen. We're going to sack Mike Ashley's going to sack Steve Bruce way too late. And we're going to probably bring in someone like Nigel Pearson to do what he almost did at Watford, but it was too late. and they sacked him anyways. And speaking of that, I would want Nigel Pearson or Eddie Howe because they actually, at this point now, Steve Bruce is too stubborn to change the formation. So we need a new manager to come in to switch the formation because the five at the back doesn't work. The only teams that do well with it are teams like Wolves and Inter Milan. They're the only teams I could think of who play that system and get the best out of their players because they have a coach who can. We just played that system to be defensive, negative shit all the time.
Yeah, I mean, let's look back at the game yesterday. And we spoke about this. Well, actually, we didn't. We spoke a bit about the Arsenal game, and we've had that's been and gone. Do you want to give us your thoughts on the FA Cup game quickly before we talk about Sheffield United? Hello, Ryan. I think you might have cut out a bit, mate. I think you've gone. Hello, Ryan. I think we're having some technical difficulties with Ryan, but I'm sure we'll get him back in. Let's have a Right, okay. I think we've had a few problems with Ryan. What I'll do is I'll put another link in the comment section there, Ryan. If you want to come back in, mate, feel free. I don't know what happened there, but there's loads of comments tonight about Steve Bruce. I mean, I'll start off at the very top. If I have missed your comments. Oh, I think we've got Ryan back. Hello, Ryan.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, mate. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm just on my computer now. I think it should be better. I don't have webcam, but it should be fine.
Don't worry about that. That's absolutely fine, mate. So I was just about to say to you, what's your thoughts on the FA Cup game? Because that's the last time I spoke to you.
Yeah.
And they were, what were we hopeful? What were?
You know what I said? Steve Bruce would give teams like Arsenal too much respect. I feel like that's what happened because Arsenal weren't even that good that day for me until they brought on Lacazette and we took off Andy Carroll. But at the same time, like, we had a few chances, like with Andy Carroll, like he should have scored that, but I couldn't think of anything else. Like I felt like we're too defensive at the same time. And you know what I told you? I didn't rate their defense at all. And that could have been something we could have gone for more often, and we didn't. I don't know why Steve Bruce treated that like it's a Premier League game to play for 0-0, but it's not. It's just a cup competition. There's nothing to lose in it.
Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. I mean, going into the Arsenal game, I said 3-1 Arsenal. I wasn't confident because it's just the way Steve Bruce sets about the games and, you know, the run of form that we're on, and you just don't know where the next win's coming from. And you talk about the game itself. I think we blew it. A big opportunity, as you mentioned. I think first half, it was all Arsenal. I think they dictated the game. They had chances, and they didn't take them. We were defending quite well, as you expect, with 5 at the back or whatever you want to. Is it a 4 at the back? I don't know what he plays these days. 9 at the back, 7 at the back. Anyway, second half, I think it was a lot more positive. But as you mentioned, Carroll, he's got to put them in. He's got to put them away. If he puts them in, I think we'll win the game 1-0 and we'll go through.
Yeah, it was really close. Like, those are the only things I could think of, like, from the game from our side, because, you know, every game is always boring almost to watch. Like, it's always sideways, backwards. There's nothing really, there's no, like, big talking point, rarely at all. If it is, it's against us. There's nothing positive to talk about in this team. And I feel like the only chance Arsenal had was when it was Joe Willock had the header on goal. Again, Dubravka saved it, but other than that, there's nothing else. And then they had the tap-in from Aubameyang, and then Smith Rowe's goal. But
what did you make of the red card?
Yesterday?
No, sorry. There was a red card given to Smith Rowe, but then obviously got overturned and it was given as a yellow. What was your thoughts on that?
To me, I thought it was right. It kind of looked like a yellow because, like, he was going in hard, but like he slowed down because he realized. I guess Smith Rowe realized he was going in he wasn't going to win the ball. But at the same time, it kind of did look. I can't lie. It kind of did look like Sean Longstaff tried to make something out of it when it could have been less, I guess. But that's football nowadays, I think.
Yeah, so out of the FA Cup, then turns up the big game against Sheffield United, and the big game for Steve Bruce of his managerial career, the biggest game for Newcastle United in terms of where we are in the league, no winning 7. And when you seen the starting lineup, 5 at the back, 4 in midfield, 1 up front, what were you instantly thinking?
I was, you know what? The game was at 1 o'clock, and I was at work at the time watching the game, and it was. I saw the lineup on OneFootball, and I was pretty pissed off, to be honest. Like, I don't understand. It's the bottom of the league. They can barely score. Sheffield can barely score goals, and they're weak defensively as well. And just everything about them says that we should go attack them and win this game because it's a big opportunity to. But we've blown it away.
Yeah, that's it with Steve Bruce. He's selected that side thinking, I'll play 5 at the back, the bottom of the league. Let's look to hit them on the counter-attack, not thinking that Sheffield United are going to be full of energy. They've just beaten Bristol Rovers in the FA Cup. Yes, they're League One, but it doesn't matter. It's a bit of confidence, and they need a win from somewhere, and they were always going to get at it. But I was hoping and just praying that Steve Bruce would have learned from the Arsenal game. He would have learned off the previous results and went like a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1. And when I seen 5 at the back, I instantly thought, that's it. There's no way that we're going to get anything out of this game. And if we are, we're going to shithouse our way to a 0-0 or a 1-1.
Every time a game passes by and we have a shitty performance, I always think, please don't change the personnel. Change the damn formation and tactics. Because I saw his press conference yesterday. The guy's like a robot. Oh, the Premier League's tough. It's the Christmas period. And Sheffield, he's just saying all this crap rather than going in with motivation into the game. And
he bigs the sides up, though, doesn't he? I mean, Sheffield United, they're a very good side. Well, I tell you what, the league suggests otherwise. They're not a good side.
I don't understand, too, because I think from the press conference, I think it was Chris Woe from The Athletic. He asked him what his thinking was behind the lineup. He said, I need to freshen up. I need more goals. That's why we add Ryan and Ryan Fraser to the team. It's like, yeah, but it's still the same damn system. It's the same 5 at the back. No progressive passing going forward. And what I will say is, if he wants to play 5 at the back, why don't you play the players for it? Don't play Paul Dummett at left wing back. And
yeah, he's more of a left back though, isn't he? He doesn't really like to get forward too much. He'll get you so far up the field, and he'll get back and track back and defend. That's what Paul Dummett is.
Yeah, for me as well. I'd get rid of every single player except for Darlow that was here before Rafa. So Lascelles, Dummett, Shelvey. I don't even know. Saive, I guess. I don't even know who else because I guess Ashraf Lazar, but. I mean,
Deadwood.
Yeah, this whole system could work, but we don't have the personnel for it. We have the personnel for more of a 4 at the back, 4-2-3-1, and someone like Nigel Pearson would actually get the best out of our players. You look what he did with Watford last year. Ismaila Sarr and Decore, they looked like the best players under him. And imagine him.
I thought I was going to get ripped the piss out of when I thought if Nigel Pearson, because he's the only one who I can think could literally walk in that dressing room and give them a kick up the arse and make them play the way he wants to play an attacking football. He won't have Newcastle playing 5 at the back. No way.
Oh, no way. I was on Transfer Market today to see his results, and I mean, his first 19 games were a bit similar to Steve Bruce's, but at the same time, that could say it all himself. I could probably go back and watch 19 of Bruce's first 19 games and Pearson's 19 games. And I could tell you what, probably if I watched those Watford games, it'd be a whole lot better to watch than what we were.
Well, talking to Pearson, for one, if you look at where Watford were in the Premier League, they were in a dodgy position. They looked odds on to go down. He had them within a cling of staying up, and for some reason, Watford being the club that they are, They just sack managers left, right, and centre every few months. But I look at Pearson, and I think he would definitely get the best out of the team that we've got. They definitely command his respect because he knows the division inside out. But not only that, he's got a connection with Newcastle anyway. So he's had games as like a caretaker. So
I saw that.
Go
on. For me as well, like he wouldn't just steady the ship, but I'd have him as manager until this takeover actually happens.
That's how I look at it, mate. That's how I see it. I think we need short-term stability for now.
Oh yeah, Steve Bruce is not the answer. Steve Bruce is just for championship for me. And I mean, you know what? I want to come to that Ryan Fraser red card yesterday too. I don't
go for it.
Yeah, there's blame on him for it, but at the same time, all these players, you could tell they're all frustrated with how we play nowadays. Like Callum Wilson, each game he plays, it's always like a 4v1. It's basically what's been happening to Joe Linton last year, except we can't. I mean, Callum Wilson, like he missed a few chances yesterday, but we cannot skate. We cannot get mad at him. Like he saved us this season with his goals. We'd be rock bottom without him. And
I totally agree, man.
Going back to the red card, like I knew as soon as that happened, like Steve Bruce would use that as an excuse at the end of the game or the VAR decision, rather than him coming out like defending his tactics or whatever. And
you can't be surprised though, can you? Steve Bruce is full of excuses. He will make something up, to try and get the Geordie public, riled up and against him. We're against him anyway. But when I think of the 2 yellow cards, I think they were just daft challenges that shouldn't really be made. I think he shouldn't even have started, if I'm being brutally honest. If he's just come back from an injury, yes, he might look fresh on the training ground, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to walk into a side. But not only that, you start him off the bench. And even so, if you're going to start Ryan Fraser, you don't play him as like a 5 at the back. When he's come from Bournemouth, he's not played 5 at the back. I can guarantee that right now.
I mean, it'd be better to put Fraser as wing back at some point, because I know he's played like the other day I watched the coach's voice, and we're like,
oh, that's good.
I watched Eddie Howe, like his victory over Chelsea, where it was 3-0, and I didn't realize, but Ryan Fraser is playing right wing back that game, and so almost would have been better to have him there. And
So I'll run through the team from yesterday. So obviously Caldolo and Ned, back 5 was Paul Dummett, Kieran Clark, Fabian Schär, Fernandez, and Yedlin. The midfield for me was very questionable. In a 4, you had Sean Longstaff, who should never have played. Hayden, fine. Hendrick should never have played. And then you got Fraser, who for me I shouldn't even think should have started the game. Then Wilson up front. Honestly, I look at that and I'm picking out players like Hendrick and Longstaff for me. Yes, Hendrick for me can't be a good player, but I think someone like Sean Longstaff can become a good player, but he's just been bruised. But I look at that selection for me. That's not telling me anything that Newcastle want to win that game.
I think Steve Bruce, like he said in the post-match press conference, he wanted to change it up, but he's like, I want to put Sean more further forward. Well, in that case, what was the formation anyways? It'd be Callum Wilson, Ryan Fraser on the left wing, and then we just have no one on the right wing because Jeff Hendrick and Isaac Hayden would be in midfield. And
do you know when you look at Sean Longstaff and he's saying, "Oh, I want to get him further up forward." So if that's the case, if you play Wilson on his own, you play 4-2-3-1, surely.
Yeah, well, it's like the Bournemouth game. Like he scored that goal because, I guess Sean Longstaff. I think he even knows. Like he said, like he likes playing further forward, so you put him as a 10, and he could be more effective, like what happened against Bournemouth last season. But you play him in this like deep defensive formation, and the way we play the 5 at the back too is awful because the gap from back, like the defense to midfield is just so bad, and then I'm just lost for words because it's almost the same stuff, and like this we're the broken records here. We're the ones talking about how crap and predictable everything is.
But we're seeing no action from the manager. We're seeing no change. It's the same old predictable, comments. And when I look at the game yesterday, going into it, and you're seeing Sheffield United just controlling the possession, you're thinking, well, we know where we know where the game's going. And I mean that McGoldrick, he had so many chances to kill off the game by half time, didn't there? There could have been 2 or 3 up.
Yeah, I kind of thought going into that game that David McGoldrick would actually be a threat, and he was. But like I was saying before, like Sheffield, like they're pretty attacking team. Like I've seen them throughout the season, they just can't score at all. They're kind of like Brighton a bit.
Until Newcastle turn up, though. Until Newcastle turn up, and we'll make them look like Barcelona.
Yeah, you know what? As well, like this happened with like the Spurs game last year. Almost, I was almost. Like I felt like with the Liverpool game a few weeks ago, like it felt like such like a good result that game. I can't lie, like it almost felt like a win. That Steve Bruce would just play the same lineup again, and he wouldn't drop any of the center backs because, like he's that manager that won't make the tough decisions. Like he'll be that more of that man-to-man guy and try to keep you as happy, but. I mean, I don't know how everyone's feeling that team, but it's definitely low, especially for in an attack, because it's just chasing loose balls,
chasing shadows.
Yeah.
You see, I look at our side, and like I say, if it wasn't for Callum Wilson scoring the 8 goals that he's got and Carl Dolan making the saves, I honestly think we're bottom 3.
Oh yeah, 100%. Even like like for our defense as well, like I think without Fernandez, we would have conceded more goals too. I feel.
I said it last night. I think Sheffield United. I'm flattered by a 1-0 defeat. It should have been 3 or 4.
Oh yeah, I mean, I like when I watched the game yesterday. I signed out of work and I drove home and I was such an angry mood. Like,
did you see me run?
Yeah, I saw the video when I came home, actually.
I feel sorry for you. If you had to watch 20 minutes of that, I felt so bad for you.
Well, you know what? I feel more bad for the fans that are probably in, like, Asia or maybe, like, west coast of, like, Canada or U.S. Because for me, like, 5 hours behind, I'd say it's ideal. But, I mean, if it was less or more hours, like, waking up in the middle of the night to watch Steve Bruce dinosaur crap, don't even bother. Just sleep in or whatever you do.
Honestly, it's 90 whatever minutes I'll never get back. It's like most games, isn't it? It's all too predictable. And like I say, he come out last night and he says, "Oh, it was the penalty decision that ultimately cost us the game." It didn't. The game was, for me, we were awful with 11 men, let alone 10. I mean, what did you make of the penalty?
I thought it was pretty harsh, to be honest. I think VAR, the whole system's good, but it's the people that run it. Like, that was not...
Do you know what, though? I was 50-50 with it. Like, at first I was like, do you know what? I've seen them given, but I've not seen them given, and I can understand why they've given it, because if you've got your arms flailing around, obviously you're running the risk. Yeah. But, I can understand, like, if you said not, because at first I still stand. I don't think it was a penalty, but I was more of like, do you know what? Just give him it. We've been awful anyway. Do you know what I mean? And that sounds so negative, but
I mean, we almost like had to have that penalty given to us. Kind of like what happened against Spurs. Like, that shouldn't have been a penalty at all. And then we got a last-minute goal, 1 point.
Do you know what? The thing is, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the tweet by Keith Downey. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
What did you make of it? I mean, looking at the bottom bit. However, Ashley's patience would be expected to run thin if Newcastle were dragged into a dogfight for Premier League survival. If he thinks that we're not in a Premier League relegation fight with being 8 points clear of Fulham, then I think he's madly mistaken. I think he's naive to think that.
Yeah, to be honest, like, I think a few weeks ago I was confident of not being relegated, but I think after this game, like I said to you, this was a must-win. And, we didn't even win that. The performance was bad enough anyway. We weren't going to win that game anyway, so it was just bad enough anyways. And I mean, that kind of comment is like something that was asked to Steve McLaren probably this time of the season 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And Ashley waits till I forget what game it was when he got sacked, but okay, yeah, that it was with 10 games left. I remember that, and it was just way too late. And if Mike Ashley ever wants to own some kind of sport team, why don't you go own a fucking NBA or NHL team? You finish 30th, there's no consequences. You get your money, you don't get relegated. but you're playing in top tier, one of the biggest leagues in the world for sports, and you run the risk of relegation. And if you wait too late, you go down the championship and you lose your money. And if you want your takeover so bad, why don't you appoint the right man for this instead of getting the cheap option?
This is what 99.9% of the Newcastle fans are asking, just for a bit of hope, change, not only as for the manager, but just to change the whole mood at the top as well. Bring in a new ownership that's going to take the club, to that next level. And right now we're just mid-table mediocre, and that sounds horrible to say, but at the end of the day, what's going to change?
For me, is that I feel like we're all saying Nigel Pearson and Eddie Howe because they're the most realistic. Like, I'd say, because anyone else, we'd have that argument of saying they wouldn't want to work with Steve Bruce, and that's true. But like someone like Nigel Pearson, like he's been with Watford, he got sacked by them. He knows how to deal with owners like that. But Mike Ashley's the complete opposite to Watford owners, and I'm sure he could. Well, the thing is, Mike Ashley did back Steve Bruce a bit during this summer. So if he gives it to someone like Nigel Pearson or Eddie Howe, he could do way better than that because they wouldn't be too demanding managers. Because, like I said too, Mike Ashley treats his club like we're Burnley or Bournemouth or Fulham, West Brom. These clubs that their fan base expect to fight relegation. But we're Newcastle. We come in with a big history and expectation that's just dropped gradually over the years. We got the 2 relegations, and yeah, just something like that. And that's why I want those 2 managers. And I feel like I don't see why fans would disagree with those 2 options because, like I said, they worked with owners like Nigel Pearson and then Eddie Howe with probably a shoestring budget owner like Mike Ashley at Bournemouth, but they're 2 different clubs almost too.
Yeah, I look at Mike Ashley and I just think his expectations are very championship, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? You say buy a football club. I would say Mike Ashley belongs in the championship. He hasn't got the money to take Newcastle forward in the Premier League, and I think the club deserves a lot better. I'm not saying we demand to be there. We just want a bit of hope with someone who's going to put some money in and kick Newcastle on because, we are a sleeping giant and there's no question about that. It's just the expectations are very low. I mean, you look at the facilities at Newcastle, right? We've got a very good stadium, but we've got a League One training facility.
Yeah. I mean, look what Leicester done with their stadium. You know what? I saw the other day, James, their Leicester's new training ground is £95 million.
Yep.
And the Harry Maguire fee that they got from Man United, that was the majority of the cover up for that fee. I'm not saying that'll happen, but I wish, Leicester are going the right direction. Ever since they won the Premier League, they have that mentality of trying to keep going. They don't want to lower down. They sack Ranieri a season after they won the league.
Yeah.
And then, they're basically a stable, I'd say top 6 club, top 4 even maybe, with a good run in Europe and cup runs. That's I think if you ask top 6 fans too, Man United, it'd be real. If we told them we want to be there, it'd be yeah, that's realistic. You guys done that before.
Yeah, I think Leicester City are the prime example of a grown club, a club that want to be where Newcastle want to be. Where Newcastle want to be Leicester, don't they? Want to be Wolves, pushing on and not just accepting what we've got. But Matty's just come back from work and he has said, who would you replace Bruce? I think you said Nigel Pearson and Eddie Howe. I think I'd be in the same category, personally.
Yeah, I don't think anyone else. I mean, I'd love to see any other suggestions too, but I'd also like to see, I like how this fan base is all the same. None of us like Bruce, but I feel like there's definitely a few out there that are still somehow trying to back him, and I'd love to know why.
I just don't know how you can back Steve Bruce anymore. The stats tell you everything you need to know. But yes, okay, we've got 19 points, but if you think about it, we've played 17 games, and I don't think we've looked convincing in more than half of them, and we've been very lucky. And I think Steve Bruce is, those lucky stocks have finally ran out. But if you think about it, right, I can only think of 2 games in the Premier League where we've actually played well. And we've picked up, 2 wins. That was against West Ham and against Burnley. We got a point against Liverpool. That's 7 points. The rest of the games, you think we've been quite lucky, and that's 7 points there. That's not even. I think that's 19th in the league. That would push West Brom up to 18th, and then put Fulham in 17th. And that for me wouldn't be me wrong of saying that. I just don't think. I think we've been very lucky.
You know what, too, about this season? Like, everything's wide open as well. Before that Sheffield game, we're 7 points behind Chelsea. Take that in. Like, why can't we go at teams? Like, this league is blown wide open, but yet we're treating it like it's just like a normal season where someone like Liverpool will go away chasing. But, I mean, I don't even know what to say. Like,
I think it's when Steve Bruce come out and said after Man City the remit is just to stay up. Yeah. Players are not going to want to play for him anymore. There's no confidence. I mean, if I'm a footballer, my manager's coming out and saying things like, "Oh, we just want to stay in the Premier League," I wouldn't be happy with that personally.
I'm sure people like Isaac Hayden probably don't mind playing defensive, but at the same time, he's probably sick of us. Like players like him, they're in that defensive-minded bracket, just our defense in general. Like they're definitely pissed off as well because we're not scoring enough goals. And then you look at our attackers too, like, you know what, the lineup yesterday too, why were so many key attackers dropped yesterday, like Almiron and Jacob? Why was Jacob Murphy dropped too? Like he came off against Arsenal. It's not like he played 2 hours of football and he's gassed out. Andy Carroll, yeah, probably because of his age, and he played the full 2 hours, but I mean, I don't know about the rest. And
I just think the whole starting 11 was wrong. I think there was just certain players that I wouldn't say the necessary cost of the game. I just think it was just wrong altogether to go 5 at the back. Do you know what I mean? And we've not given ourselves a chance of getting anything.
We have the personnel like for top 10. Yeah. I haven't heard anyone say this season, "Oh, we need a striker," like, back in the days of Rafa, because like Rafa had all the tactics but just not the players. So we're as fans saying, we need this, we need that. At this point with Bruce now, with the amount of money he spent over coming in the 4th transfer window, like he has a squad, and all we can say is we just need a backup left back and another box to box mid. Other than that, I think we're fine, to be honest. Unless the club want to sell Joe Linton and take a loss on him, then
Joe Linton, for me, he just take a loss. If you think about it, right, West Ham United, they've just got rid of their.
They took the loss from him, yeah.
I just think I look at the side, and I think you're right in what you're saying. We've got a good side. They can't turn shit overnight.
No.
It's down to the manager. For me, if the board bring in a fresh manager, a new voice, there's no doubt they're going to get the best out of them players, because. Callum Wilson, for me, we wouldn't have brought Callum Wilson in if he doesn't score goals, and he's got 8 goals, and I've mentioned that. But he can score so many more with a better formation, just a better manager, just to bring that sort of edge back. Because right now, when your manager's coming out and saying the remit is to stay in the league, and then you're playing 5 at the back, you're not giving any of the players a chance to really progress.
Yeah. Thing is, as well, like. Yeah, we need to get rid of, like, it's not like our club is like unattractive to players anymore. Like, we still got Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser, who, I mean, they got relegated, but at the same time, like, they're positive attacking players and for me, like, someone like Callum Wilson, like, he's proven in the Premier League, like, and he sees the club of, like, we still have that, like, the name still carries a bit of like a meaning to players like Callum Wilson just by a thread, just because of our history. But then, at this point now, like, people won't want to come just because of Bruce, and because of our owner, who always gives the money to the wrong people and makes the decisions at the last minute.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The club, we're a huge club, we're a big name in the footballing world. It's just the owner is not attractive to, certain managers and certain players. Yes, we can attract players, that's correct. Yeah. But like I say, it all stems down to your ownership, in my opinion, and the way Mike Ashley operates with Newcastle United. Because if things were done differently, if Mike Ashley wasn't the owner, imagine what Newcastle United could look like today. It could be, a completely different, kettle of fish. I look at that Man City takeover. They were looking at buying Newcastle, and Mike Ashley somehow turned them down. I'll say alleged because we don't know if it was official, but it, come out in the news, them 12 years ago or 13 years ago that they wanted to buy Newcastle. They were looking to buy a club, and look how well City have done. I'm not necessarily let's buy the league or anything like that, but bring in some attractive players that are going to play for Newcastle United Football Club. Imagine the Champions League, at St James's Park on a Tuesday, Wednesday night. Imagine.
Yeah, for me as well, I think, James, after that Sheffield game too, these pundits cannot come out and keep defending Bruce. That game sums up the whole time he's been here of just being negative, but yet pundits are still coming out defending him. I see people, I saw on Twitter today, Ian Wright slaying off Joe Linton. Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, there's a bigger issue in the manager for not getting the best out of these players.
Yeah.
And being so dinosaur-y.
Honestly, I think the whole club's dinosaur, if I'm honest, from the ownership to the manager. And there's just certain dinosaur players that we've got as well that just aren't good enough, like Jeff Hendrick, and just to name a few there. You know what I mean? It's just, it stinks. It honestly stinks.
The players before Rafa came, a lot of them definitely are dinosaurs.
I mean, under Rafa Benitez, don't get us wrong, it was always going to be mid-table football, to Mike Ashley, what's changed. But, people say, oh, well, Rafa's formation was the same. It was 5 at the back and whatnot. But Rafa Benitez had an identity. This is a manager who's been there and done it. He's wore the T-shirt. He's won all the trophies that you need to know in football. I could persist and trust Rafa Benitez. I could trust, what he said in the press conferences before and after a game. And by the way, he wouldn't come out and say, oh, these are a good side, that's a good side, or this. That. Rafa was not really about excuses, in my opinion. No. If anything, right, he wanted backing. That's all he wanted. And I felt so sorry for him. Even the first season in the Premier League, even in the January, he was just wanting some money to spend. It was cheap loans and whatnot. And I'm thinking he's not going to last more than this first season in the Premier League. But then he got the second one, and then he's away. Do you know what I mean? So
even with these loans, Barreca and Kennedy not working out for us, it took a season and a half for Rafa to find the perfect style for us to play with. What is it, the 3-4-3 almost, with the three amigos up top? It took him that long on a basically shoestring budget just to get there, and we were bound for better things with Rafa. But
100%.
But of course, imagine if we still had Rafa and he kept improving. We would have had Rondon and Perez still at this club, and
that do you know what, that still hurts me, because you bring in Rondon in from West Brom on loan, right? Yeah. And they're asking for 16.5 million quid. And to me, he's played his best football in his career at Newcastle. He's been welcomed in by the fans. And by the way, he's taken the Newcastle shirt to storm. And the goals that he scored were so vitally important. He scored, not only the important goals, but he had that good relationship with Perez. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And as well, with Rondon too, I thought of it the other day, he was the one playing under defensive Tony Pulis football. And people say Rafa's football is defensive. It is, but it's organized, and that's the focal point of Rafa's teams. It's all about organization and finding the balance. I mean, I went on on Sky Sports. He's talking about the 2018-19 team. He's like, yeah, we got Char, the ball playing center back. We got Lascelles for strength, and then we got Dummett as our left side center back. It just made me remember that whole team we had, and it was just it was going for better things, but at the same time, it just came to an end because Mike Ashley had employed Rafa, who in his eyes was too much of this this demanding manager, but at the same time, he just wants the best for this club and city. I mean, he wanted the whole training ground redone, and then
got lick of paint. So we're being classed as ungrateful. Got lick of paint, but still not enough.
Oh yeah, why are pundits classing us as ungrateful? All we want is some
hope.
Progression. We don't want to be fighting relegation. I mean, why are we on the levels of Burnley and stuff? They're the ones supposed to be fighting.
Mike Ashley. stems down to one man, mate. It's Mike Ashley. Until he leaves the football club and we get someone who's going to put the money in, then we're not going to be at the levels of where we want to be. Do you know what I mean? We get
Look at this.
sort of branded like we demand success. We don't demand success. The media play it all wrong. We don't. We want a bit of hope. We want to be able to go to games and actually enjoy it. Like even yesterday, for example, right? People were saying things like, "Oh, you want to play attractive football and whatnot." Yeah, would love that in the long term, but against Sheffield United, you want to like be working the goalkeeper. You want a bit of hope that we're going to have a shot on target and we're actually going to, pass the ball around, but actually get in the final third. Do you know what I mean? It's examples like that. It's Mike Ashley dinosaur tactics, man, from the very get-go at the top.
Yeah, like Steve Bruce. Like I remember the first things fans were saying about him. He's trying to copy and paste Rafa's tactics. It's not. Like if you want to copy Rafa's tactics, you got to have the personnel and the determination to actually go forward and not play defensive. Because we were actually going out and trying to score goals against teams like Fulham and other lower teams like that in the 2018-19 season.
I really think we could have built on that 2018-19 season. Do you know what I mean? He came 13th place, and I mean, what should have happened is Rafa, right, should have been backed. Rondon should have come in, on a contract, £16.5 million. That's now for what Rondon's done. You look at what Joe Linton's done with the number 9 shirt, and by the way, he shouldn't have been given it at the start of the season. But Rondon, he just took to everything, didn't he? Do you know what I mean? The manager, the fans around him, the whole atmosphere, the squad. And I look at it now, there's just no identity, is there? And that's what happens when you bring in a manager as clueless as Bruce, who, like I say, he couldn't motivate anyone.
Yeah. It's almost at the point now where like Steve McLaren's almost better than him, but just Steve McLaren just you didn't know how to set up defense, and like I don't even know. It's just
like I say with Steve Bruce now, and I've said it so many times before, he's on borrowed time as far as I'm concerned. There's no way that he should be this manager, and it's only because of Mike Ashley being the owner that he is the manager. Because any owner with half a brain cell would bring in a manager that can replicate Newcastle United as a club, that can represent us. Do you know what I mean? For me, he's not a Geordie, and I've said this before. He does not represent Newcastle United Football Club, and I'll say it and I'll say it again. He's a dinosaur. He really is.
You know what? I saw a tweet today as well, like of did you hear Steve Bruce in his post match yesterday? He said, "I'm not the kind of one to back down from a challenge." And there's a stat of his previous clubs he managed, and like Sheffield Wednesday, Hull, they're all teams that he resigned from. You call that not giving up for a challenge?
Paycheck.
Bullshit.
Paycheck. He's there for the paycheck.
Yeah, for me as well. You know what I gotta say too? Like that previous comment about that Liverpool fan. I'll tell you what now, like these fans wouldn't mind us being back in like the late 90 days of being a top club. I feel like the London clubs like Arsenal and Chelsea, they'd rather us be there than like Tottenham, because I know those two clubs hate that club too.
I just think, like, say, when I look at the club, we're an absolute mess. And it doesn't matter what happens in the short term. And we're all talking like Nigel Pearson come in and Eddie Howe, but we need to get rid of Mike Ashley, because it doesn't matter who comes in as manager. If Mike Ashley's there, it's going to be the same restraints. Do you know what I mean? And I don't want to put that as like a negative. I'm just being like realistic, but and it's sad, and we're all praying on a takeover. And I know fair enough they walked away, but for me, I think they'll come back eventually. The Saudis will come back eventually. If not, someone will come in, with a good offer, because they will look at Newcastle, right? We're not a small club by any stretch of the imagination. We're a huge club, with huge potential. And you kind of beat St James's Park. It doesn't matter what day you go. It doesn't matter what time of the day you go. It's going to be full. Do you know what I mean? We're doing it in the Championship. We play Burton on. I think we play Burton now. Is it Burton? Or we'll play somebody in midweek in the Championship, and we're packing it out. It's like 50,000 odd. Do you know what I mean? That wouldn't happen with any other club.
No, I mean, it only happened with Sunderland once, when you watch the documentary and they hold a whole special of trying to get fans back in for.
That's embarrassing.
Cheap.
No, but if you're a Newcastle fan, we don't need to be shaken up. We'll be there. Do you know what I mean? We'll back the team to the hilt. It's just a shame that the owner doesn't share the same love for the club to what the fans do, because obviously he's a businessman. He's not from here. And, I've been here 13 years. I get it. It's, it's all down to the Premier League money and whatnot. But it's just so frustrating, man. Like I say, when Rafa was here, it was more like, that's fine. The Ashley thing can be in the corner. I'll get behind the lads, and I can understand Rafa. But now I'm against both of them, both manager. I'm bored. I've been against the board since he's been here, Mike Ashley. But to be against both, like, you know, Bruce and the board, it's the same as what it was 4 years ago. It's just rinse and repeat.
You know what? For me as well, like I feel like with Mike Ashley too, like we hate him the most, obviously, because the 2 relegations. And to be honest, like he does spend money, but he gives it to the wrong idiots. Steve McLaren spending 80. Didn't he spend 80 million in January?
And more. And what was given to him in the summer as well. So not to forget.
Okay, yeah, 80. Yeah, 80 in that whole season then. And then like he just gives Rafa $2 million to sign Mikel Merino from Dortmund. I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad player, but
Hosselu as well. Add him in there as well.
Oh my God, not even Hosselu, man. Well, to be honest, like Hosselu did score a few like big goals against the big like Chelsea and like Liverpool. But other than that, like he's not at Premier League level. And if we had Rondon a year before, I'm sure we wouldn't have like relegation. Like we wouldn't be turning our backs to see where other teams are.
Well, I just think with Mike Ashley now, if he's backing Steve Bruce, for me, I wouldn't give him this window, if I'm honest. I'd be saying, yeah, mate, you can have the 3 games, right? But if you don't improve, if we don't get wins, then you're gone, as far as I'm concerned. Go on.
The only player, like Jeff Hendrick, that's a bad Bruce sign, but like everyone else, like I could think of, I wouldn't count.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, I'm the same thing with like Hendrick. Like, why did he sign him? Like, what was needing Hendrick?
Like I said, we could have used that wage for another left back. But going back to it, like I think, like I'm not going to count Joe Linton and St. Maximum as Bruce signs because there's no manager at that time. But like Jetro Willems, he got Jamal Lewis, Ryan Fraser, Callum Wilson. They've all been good, but he just doesn't know how to use them. I
just don't think he knows how to manage any of the players, let alone 1 or 2. Do you know what I mean? I think he's lost everything. And like I say, if you lose the dressing room, the players are actually dictating how they're going to play, then by the way, I'm not saying for one they're all setting out to play 5 at the back. That's obviously done by Steve Bruce and his backroom staff. It's 5 at the back and we'll go from there. But listen, I don't think Steve Bruce has any say in terms of what happens in the dressing room. I think he gets taught one thing and then
I don't even think
do you know what I mean?
Tactics. I remember his quote saying, "I don't do tactics." Like I think it's Steve Clement that does all that. It's like, well, what do you do then besides pick the lineup?
This is what I'm saying. That this is why I don't want this dinosaur of a manager anywhere near the football club.
Man, you're the one on the touchline while everyone else is in the while they're in the on the bench, on their like writing papers and tactics and whatever. But I mean,
do you know what annoys me though about Steve Bruce, right? And it happened yesterday when Sheffield United scored. He's like looking down him on the floor and he's like puffing his cheeks out as if like, oh, we've been like undone. It's like we've been shit all game. Do you know what I mean? We've been shit for months. Like, what's the problem? Like, what's changed? The thing is, if you're going to set up 5 at the back against Sheffield United, then you're only risking now losing the game against one of the worst sides in the league, and that's exactly what happened. As if like, oh, we should have beaten them. Well, if you're playing 5 at the back, pal, you're not going to get the result that you want.
Nope. I mean, it's almost like every game I'm clinging on for him to change formation, and at the same time, too, I am looking forward to I look forward to every game coming up when I see it. But at the same time, I know I'm going to get let down because, to be honest, I find it stupid to go 5 at the back against Arsenal. You need to attack the team. The only good defender in that team is Kieran Tierney.
Can I just say something though, right? If I'm Steve Bruce, right, and I'm manager of Newcastle United, I don't fear any side in this Premier League, and I don't care how much money they've got. I don't care how they're set up. I don't care what individual players. Go to attack them.
He's got that scared mentality, and he just wants to play for 0-0s and like try to nick a goal.
It's honestly, it's utter bollocks. If you're managing a club like Newcastle United, right? I know it's underachieving massively, but if you think of the fan base we have and you think of the squad there, for me, you want to be going for the top 7. You know, you want to just try and exceed expectations. You know what I mean? Like you didn't want to just sit on what the club want. You want to maybe go one better and get a bit more respect. You know what I mean, from the board and the fans, that you can go win things.
You know what? I feel like he's been haunted about goal difference ever since we got smashed against Leicester 5-0. I think he's been scared ever since.
But this is the thing. Like you look at Marcelo Bielsa though. He's a perfect example, right? I don't think he's that bothered. Like I think they were like 6-1 or 6-2 down, and they still went for it in the 90th minute.
That's almost the mentality like Eddie Howe has. Like I've seen him on Sky and Coach's Voice. He has that mentality. I think even his quotes, he said, "Yeah, like no matter what team it is, we don't want to lose. We want to try to go out there and put on a performance." That's what we need to do because this whole sport is about upsets. If you can do your homework properly, you can make upsets over every team. But in Bruce's eyes, that'd be like, oh, defend for 90 minutes and hope to God.
The thing is, I understand he was a centre back in his day, but you can't use that in your management.
Yeah, I mean, most managers nowadays, they're all like center backs because they see the game from the back. But at the same time, you gotta have that attacking. You gotta know like how to attack teams and stuff.
See, I'm even getting fans from Ireland saying that Jeff Hendrick's awful. But the thing is, that's the caliber of players that we are attracting under Steve Bruce. Do you know what I mean? Jeff Hendrick, dearie me. And by the way, it's Spurs 1, Fulham 1 to anyone watching this live stream. So it could be an extra point for Fulham to catch with. That's 7 now. And Steve Bruce, it's just, oh man, honestly, it's so fucking frustrating. And that has come down to this as well. And do you know what it is? I've not seen, like I say, that the 2 games that I think we played well in is the 2 wins. And that is, like I say, the West Ham and the Burnley game. Other than that, I think we've been awful.
The Southampton game before the Sheffield game was my worst game, but I think the Sheffield crowns it now of the worst performance. 5 at the back, worst team in the league. You got one of your attackers having to come back and tackle. He's the one supposed to be getting tackled, not tackling players. But that's just all down to Steve Bruce and
his mentality, though, isn't it, as a manager?
Yeah, we're going around in circles about this guy, but we care about it because we won't want it to be too late. And people like Mike Ashley won't pull the trigger until it's too late.
Do you know what it is? And I said it on me Twitter this morning. We're sleepwalking back to the Championship. It's as simple as that. That's not being over the top. I'm looking at the bigger picture and I can see what's going on. You look at that form and you think Steve Bruce is never going to turn that around because if you lost the dressing room, if you've lost the players, then there's no way they're going to play for you. And you can just see it in the performances. Last night was enough to tell me that the players were tired, not tired like physically, just tired of everything.
We're going through the same cycle again of hope of getting the season done over with and hoping to God we survive relegation. And we go into the summer hoping to God the takeover happens too. But under Rafa, it was the takeover and wanting Rafa to stay because, I mean, even with Rafa and a shoestring budget, like I feel like the team was going to progress because it took a season and a half for him to finally work his magic and get the right personnel for the way he wants to play. But yeah,
I mean, I don't know if you were watching my channel back then, but when I done that Rafa Benitez video in the garden, honestly, I was absolutely livid. It's just.
Yeah,
how can you let a manager of his caliber go? Do you know what I mean? We're lucky to have him, and that pains me to say because all managers should earn the right to be manager. But when you've got Mike Ashley as your owner, you're just praying that someone's going to come in and do the job that's going to satisfy the fans. And I believe like Rafa, yes, people will say he could do no wrong and whatnot, but listen, we're not going to do any better than Rafa Benitez. I know Chris Hughton did a decent job as well, Pardew to an extent, and then it all fell apart. But when you got to like Rafa in as well, with a CV that he has, and then for him to be fucked off like the way he was with Mike Ashley a couple of years ago, it just tells you everything you need to know, doesn't it? It's a real shame.
No, what happened, James, is I feel like if Bruce does get the sack and we get Pearson and like Eddie Howe,
yeah,
if we go down, if we get smashed at like, I don't know, like at Anfield or something. But with those kind of managers, I know like they'll want a performance from the team, and we won't just like throw in the towel and just hope for something. And with that, like I feel like pundits will criticize because, like I feel like the media and stuff, they criticize people like Bielsa who go out and attack and want to win games rather than Bruce who plays this crappy football all the time. And I mean, if that time ever comes with like someone like Pearson, I'll just disagree. Like I think us as a fan base, we'd rather go out with a fight rather than just like lose.
It's not much to ask. It's not much to ask.
That meant, yeah. Because if you can't win games, at least put a performance on. And the games we do lose, it's never a performance. It's never anything good.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, with Rafa Benitez,
and Rafa was getting abused too because from like I remember the Man City game. That was probably one of my favorite games I watched under Rafa was the 1-0 at against Man City and the game last year Rondon scored that crucial goal as well and Matt Ritchie penalty.
Huge.
The amount of disrespect Rafa got, it was just terrible. And I feel like that would be the same with someone like Eddie Howe or like Nigel Pearson, but I feel like Steve Bruce doesn't get disrespected as well by these pundits. Maybe because of
it's because of what he's done in the game, being Manchester United player, winning trophies and whatnot. But go on.
No, I was just agreeing with you there. Like that's what it is. Like I'm sure Man United fans like when we lost 4-1, it's like, oh yeah, Steve Bruce is doing one for us. Secretly, he probably is because he's a Man United fan.
I'm just sick of all the bullshit. I'm just sick of all the excuses. I'm just sick of Steve Bruce as a person. I don't want to hear his voice anymore. I didn't want to see his face anymore. It's just I want to see a complete change. And when you're seeing that tweet, that really, really fucks me off.
At that time, too, when we played Man United, at that time, they were in such poor form. We gave them way too much respect. We get that I think that goal that we got, or that it was just an own goal at first, actually. Wait, the Man United game we scored first, right? Or was it an own goal?
No, we scored first, then Man United got back into it, and then we just capitulated.
That goal early on is just like, oh no, now we know what's coming. Even more defense.
But you know what it is though, Ryan? That game, I'm sorry to say, we should never have lost that game. Like for me, the game was there for Newcastle to take. You go 1-0 up, and you've got to go and get that second goal. But because of the tactics of Steve Bruce, for me, we lost the game.
If we had a proper manager, I feel like we'd have around
Rafa Benitez. We win that game 2-1.
Oh yeah, I think we would have won like maybe 2 or 3 more games if we had an actual decent manager. And
just tell you what, we have Rafa now. If Rafa Benitez is our manager now with this side, I think we could be at least 8th place.
Oh, 100%. I think, like I said, we have the squad now to push on, but we just have a manager that just relegation mentality and throw in the towel FC, predictable FC, dinosaur FC, all of the above.
I can get a dictionary out and have a look at all the different words that you could use to define Newcastle United at this moment in time.
Yeah,
it's so bad, man. But well, Ryan, it's been good to talk to you, mate. But if you want to come on Friday, we are doing the usual show 7 till 9. So if you want to pop in, you're more than welcome to, mate.
Will John be on Friday?
Yes, I've actually got John on. He's part of my guests. He'll be on from 7 o'clock, and you'll be able to ask him any questions. You can even pop in if you like as well. First, I'll just be asking him a few questions on how he become a Newcastle fan and whatnot, and then we'll just from there we'll maybe get another guest in, and we can talk for maybe 10-15 minutes with John. So John will be in for a couple of hours, and that's just the way it's going to be. Just giving the fans a bit of a voice this year, I think.
Yeah, I feel like by Friday, like I'm sure there'll be more things popping up in my mind, so I feel like I won't go around in circles.
Write them down. Let us know, because it always becomes a good talking point. But no, honestly, if there was a resolution, I don't tend to have them. It was to give fans more of a voice, but this was just an off the cuff with like Steve Bruce. But now, obviously, I will be back obviously on Friday if anyone's watching between 7 and 9, so don't miss it. And I will go over if I need to. But yeah, Ryan, like I say, mate, you're more than welcome to come on. But yeah, go on, continue. What are you going to say?
No, like I said, like I think, like if I'm just bored one day, I feel like talking about my mind will probably drift into Newcastle, and hopefully it's like something not about Steve Bruce, but some other kind of talking point rather than us going in circles complaining. But at the same time, I'm done.
Ryan, have you got a channel?
No, I don't, but I think soon enough I might start Twitch and I might stream.
It's just because somebody in the comment section asked if you got Instagram, Twitter, something that can follow you on maybe?
Yeah. My Instagram is RyanRheaume. or on Twitter, you could find me at NUFC Ottawa.
Yeah, no problem, mate. But yeah, we'll get you in on a Friday, like I say, mate, between 7 and 9, so you can more than welcome to pop in. But it's been good to get your opinion, mate, as usual. But you keep yourself safe out there.
All right, yeah, thanks. See you later.
Mate.
Bye.
See you, mate. Take care, bud. Take care. And yes, that is Ryan, and we're going to wrap up the show tonight on all things Steve Bruce. As I've mentioned before, I want this clueless dinosaur out. I want him to be sacked. I want the board to act. I don't want Steve Bruce to have any more games. I know they're going to give him the free games. They're going to give him the Arsenal, the Leeds, and the Everton game. There's no question about it. That's all he's going to get now for me. If we lose these next 3 games, and if we go on a losing streak of 11 games without a win, change needs to happen in at least the start of February. Something has to give, because I can't listen to this manager anymore. I can't. Honestly, yesterday was the final straw for me. But anyway, thanks for watching the live stream tonight. I appreciate all of your support. You've been absolutely amazing this year, and I do want to continue with these live streams and the debate. Apologies if I haven't read your comments out. There is a lot, but I do appreciate all of the guests that have come in tonight for the last 2.5 hours. But we'll continue it all over again on Friday between 7 and 9. So make sure you set your dates in your diary for 7 till 9. You can come on. We do have special guest John Sinclair coming on as well, another YouTuber, and he'll be talking about how he become a Newcastle United fan and his story and some of his memories of supporting the tune from back in the day. But in the meantime, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do that. Thank you very much for 3,500 subscribers. Absolutely amazing. I've been trying to push for so long now, and you've answered the call, and I can't thank you all for that. Honestly, you are a great family of people, and you are great supporters, of not only the club but for myself, and the YouTube channel wouldn't be here without you. So thank you so much for that. The aim now is to get to 3,600 and maybe 4,000 by the end of the year. Is that unrealistic? Possibly, but we'll see. I don't really want to get to that too far, but yeah, like I say, don't forget to hit the like button if you haven't already. Turn on your notification bells if you haven't already, because you'll never know if I drop a video. And there will be a preview out for Arsenal on Saturday, so stay tuned for that as well if you don't catch the live stream on Friday. If you are watching the rerun, make sure you put your comments down below and I will respond to them all. If you haven't seen my review from the game yesterday, well, watch with caution, because I do rant about Steve Bruce, and rightly so. But yeah, once again, keep yourselves safe out there. Thank you so much for watching, and until Friday, I'll catch you all later. How are the lads?